Salman,
Yes, sir.
can you just start the sharing the slides? Can you start your brief
Okay.
welcome?
Okay, so a very good morning to you all. Thank you for joining us on the second day of this two-day webinar on fermentation, interplay of microbes, immunity and nutrition, organized by the Department of Rural Development and Cultural Production, Northeastern Hill University, Meghalaya, with the active support of BIVAC, a Government of India initiative. I'm Alva Margaret Kapoor. I'm the program manager of BIRAC Binus Incubator Facility, Nehu Tula campus. And I take this opportunity to welcome our Honorable Vice Chancellor of Nehu, Meghalaya, Professor Prabhat Shankar Shukla, and our respected speakers, Dr. B. Sisikaran, Sir, Dr. Jinara, Dr. Rubina Mandlik, Ma'am, and all the participants, ladies and gentlemen. In yesterday's session, we had a very thought provoking and a knowledge gaining discussion on the advances of probiotics, postbiotics, prebiotics, and nutraceuticals with experts from academia and industry. Fermentation, as we know, is an ancient technology that is widely used in preserving food, and present-day fermented food industry is delivering these food products to our doorsteps by maintaining the safety measures and enriching them through the pre, post, and the probiotics. And in modern day practice of fermentation, it has become really competitive and innovative. And the biggest challenge that comes with it is maintaining the food safety measures as per the regulatory guidelines. So, to dig deeper with that, we go by today's theme of discussion on innovation and regulatory compliances in fermented food. To begin with the session, I would like to request Dr. Shilpi Gupta, Chief Manager, Technical, Discovery and Product Development at Biotechnology Industry Research Assistance Council, BIRAC, to briefly illuminate us about the role of BIRAC in fostering public-private partnership for innovative product technology development. But before I hand over the session to her, I would like to brief a little about her work. Dr. Shilpi Gupta is working as a chief manager technical in BIRAC, and she's responsible for technical due diligence, evaluation, and management of project focusing in the area of industrial biotechnology, green technology, clean energy, waste management, and sanitation. She is also responsible for identifying the priority areas of research and look for ways to boost research innovation in these fields. Besides this, she has managed several investment schemes. She also holds a doctorate in biochemical engineering and biotechnology from IIT Delhi and her master's in biotechnology. So over to you, ma'am. We would like to hear more on the role of BIRAC in fostering the public partnership for innovative product and technology development.
Thank you very much, Ms. Alva, and for organizing this event on behalf, along with BIRAC, and all the effort that has gone into it, along with my colleague from BIRAC, Dr. Sujit. So, really want to thank you all. Can I have my slides on the screen? A
Sure.
very good morning to the Vice Chancellor from the University, Dr. Mishra, and the respected speakers. Today, I'll be talking about what my organization does and how are we promoting entrepreneurial mindset within the country.
So, Alva, can you share the screen?
One minute.
Yeah, please share the screen.
So while they're sharing the screen, maybe I'll just start with the first introductory slides. BIRAC is Biotechnology Industrial Research Assistance Council, and we're housed in New Delhi. And During few meetings which the Department of Biotechnology had and the National Development Strategy which was formed by them, it was thought that there is a need to develop an organization which can support entrepreneurship and industry, MSCs, MSMEs, and affordable product development within the country. And that was the reason how BIRAC was conceptualized and came into existence in the year 2012. Miss Zalma, can we have the slides, please?
Sorry to interrupt you, ma'am, but we have not received your
No, no,
email.
it is there with Dr. Nandi. Or else I'll share from my end. Just wait.
Oh, okay, sir.
Yes, maybe we can go to the next slide. So, yeah, as I was saying, BIDAC was set up in in the year 2012, and it was set up as a Section 8 not-for-profit company under the aegis of Department of Biotechnology to support startup entrepreneurs and small and medium-scale enterprises. We all know biotech sector is challenging. The investments are heavy, and the competition is there, and high risk involved. In order to de-risk many of these challenges, IRAC was set up. We not only provide funding support for promoting entrepreneurship, but also there is a lot of incubation support which has been created all across the country. There is a whole lot of technical and business mentorship, holding that is given along with the whole range of business and technical mentors who are associated with us. The slides have disappeared. As well as the recognition, which is yes, now it is visible, and I'm really sorry. This I don't know why this issue is happening. Is it visible to everybody?
Yes, ma'am, it's visible.
Yes, yes, we can see it. Yes.
So, and as well as the recognition through many of the national and international forums is there for the startups through different events which PIREC organizes from time to time. Can we go to the next slide, please? So the vision with which PIRAC was set up was that they had to support strategic and research innovation capabilities within the country for creation of affordable products, as well as to facilitate public-private partnership to boost the indigenous products and to help in creation of sustainable bio enterprises within the country. Next slide. So, BIRAC has been energizing the startup ecosystem, and for the past 10 years, taking into mind not only the as the technology might be. So, if you see this graph gives some schemes which are Sitare, EUA, BIG, and then we have funding support where once the startups get stabilized and they are in a position to put in a little bit of their initiative as well, which we have acronymed as CDPCU. And then finally, the product commercialization support is there as well through our PCU scheme. And the funds are given right from ideation for the development of proof of concept, field testing, until manufacturing and commercialization. Next slide, please. Can we go to the next slide? Yeah. So the support provided by BIRAC is across all seven theme areas, which includes vaccine development, devices, diagnostics, drugs, agriculture, bioinformatics, biosimilars, as well as as well as energy and environment monitoring as well. Next slide, please. So as I was saying that we start right at the grassroots level, and we know that in order to nurture and support and build any industry or any new association within a country, it is very important for anybody to start at right at the foundation level, and this can only be done if we start putting the entrepreneurial ideas and start igniting the young minds, and that is why we have our funding schemes, which are two of which I've listed here, which are EUA and SIIP. EUA is a big acronym, stands for Empowering Youth for Undertaking Value-Added Innovative Translation Research. And this program tries to inculcate a culture of applied research and entrepreneurial innovation among the young researchers. The program is implemented through EUA centers, which have been set up all across universities and institutes within the country. Along with each EUA center, there is a BIRAC supported bio incubator associated, so that the mentorship and handholding for the different researchers who incubate here can be done. And the scheme provides for innovation fellows as well as EUA fellows. There are two categories depending on what uh, whether a student is at undergrad level or at postgrad level, and both these components have a fellowship grant as well as research grant given for a period of 18 months, so that a tangible product or a proof of concept can come out of the work that they are doing, which they can continue forward by seeking support from other schemes of IRAC. Another initiative that we have at the student level is a pool of social innovators, which we create from time to time. This social innovation fellowship program is again implemented through different spur centers that we have across the country. And these social innovators have to look in for a specific societal problem and work towards it. So the areas that are included here are maternal and child health, energy, environment, combating environmental pollution, to name a few. And then they are housed in the first centers for a period of 18 months with a fellowship grant of 50,000 per month, and 5 lakhs are given during the course for research for doing the research purposes. And currently there are around 70 innovators who are working in the different research centers, and many of them have graduated and moved forward for setting up their own startups. Next slide, please. So, Biotechnology Ignition Grant is a flagship program of BIRAC, and it basically is nurturing a lot of entrepreneurship within the country. Many of you must be aware of it. We have our Bio Incubator Center at Nehru campus, also associated with us in this webinar today. And basically, the Ignition Grant is providing early stage funding to biotech startups and entrepreneurial individuals. So at times, what happens is an individual has a very brilliant idea but doesn't know how to go about it, doesn't know how to get funds for it. So that's what Ignition Grant is for, because it supports ideation as well as ideas which can progress to the proof of concept, basically which have a potential for commercialization. There are 8 big partners which we have across the country who then work with the selected Ignition grantees, provide them mentoring, networking, and other support. The scheme provides for a grant of 50 lakhs for a duration of 18 months. Till date, we have deployed 100 plus products and supported more than 800 entrepreneurial ideas. Next slide, please. As and when the technology moves forward on the innovation ladder, we have different programs available. So intensifying the impact of industrial innovation is a program which is there when the technology is ready. The proof of concept has been developed and the technology is ready for moving towards early stage validation. That's where the first component of I4, which is the SBRI scheme, comes into the picture. It provides support for validation, early stage validation till the product reaches TRL of 6. It's a 100% grant in it program wherein 50 lakhs grant is given for a duration of 50 lakhs grant is given upfront, and in case the project cost is more than 50 lakhs, then the remaining over the 50 lakhs assume that by the time you reach to the SIBRI, the startup would have ventured into, they would have gotten some angel support or VC support, and they might have been able to garner other kind of grants as well. So they'll be in a condition to put in a little bit of their own money, that is to make them to self-sustainable as well. And then if there is a if the once the technology is ready for late stage validation, the biotechnology industry partnership program comes into picture where the endpoint of the technology should be TRL 7 or above. In this case, the total project cost, irrespective of the amount, is equally divided between BIRAC and the company. Both of these are royalty-based grants, and once the product starts selling, there is a small royalty which the company has to give based on the total sales. Next slide, please. So here I have listed some of the equity-based supports for the startups as well: seed fund, lead fund, and ACE fund. And just like the royalty-based grants which I explained previously, these seed, leap, and ACE fund are based on the quantum of support that is given in the form of equity to the company. They are again being managed by our incubator partners. And for the seed fund, there is um, a list of incubators we have who have been given some amount of money from BIRAC, and then they select the startups and take equity into them. And similarly, LEAP and ACE funds are there through which the quantum of the equity and the funding support provided varies. Like for LEAP fund, we have up to 1 crore funds which we give to the startup. And in the ACE fund, the quantum of funds that are provided to the startup can go up to 7 crores. And obviously, the equity amount would also vary based upon the funds that are given. Next slide, please. So once the product reaches to a stage where it is ready to go into the market, again there is a lot of funding support that is required, because there might be areas where the product has to be tested or launched in a specific market, or even for the launch, large scale facility manufacturing is needed. That's where the product commercialization program comes into picture. It provides support for market launch or large scale commercialization. Once the product starts commercializing, there is a 150% return that we expect on the grant which has been payable. So basically, the grantee has to return the entire grant, as well as we expect a 50% more return on the investments that we have made. Next slide, please. Uh, along with the industry, there were also, at one time realized that a lot of innovations are lying within the academic institute. Those who have who have the potential to be taken forward, but they are not able to translate it, because uh, probably the support is not available, and that is why the PACE scheme came into picture, which has two components: academic innovation research and contract research scheme. The PACE scheme encourages the academia to develop a biotechnological product and then carry out the validation with an industrial partner. So if a technology is there which has a proof of concept development is required but and has a translational potential, then the academic institute can apply for that particular product development within two BIOX scheme, and support is provided for 50 lakhs for a project duration of 24 months. Once the proof of concept is ready, either through air or otherwise with the academic institute, they can apply to the contract research scheme, which the in which the validation is to be done by industrial partner. Again, it's a grant in aid for both the partners. And why the CRS scheme was brought into picture is because many a times it was felt that the industry is a bit hesitant in taking forward a product, taking forward a technology about which they have not known. So we give this by this scheme we give a chance to the industry to validate the technology for the academic institute and then have the first right of refusal whether they want to take it forward or not. The IP for this resides with the academia, whereas the industry partner would have the first right of refusal for taking up the technology forward. There is no ceiling on the duration or the budget, and both the partners get grant in aid in the program. Next slide, please. Early translation accelerators were also established, keeping into mind the academic institutes only. These accelerators scout for technologies which have a translational potential. They add a translational component to it by establishing the proof of concept or validation at the accelerator only where the accelerator has been set up, and then they look out for industrial partners who can then take up these technologies. So basically the accelerators act as a third party validation for a specific technology, which gives more confidence for any industry who wants to further invest in these technologies. So we have different accelerators within the country. There are four of them as of now. Two of them are focusing on healthcare based projects. One at IIT Madras is focusing on industrial biotechnology, and IIT Mumbai is focusing on devices and diagnostics. Next slide, please. Along with this, all the projects which are supported, there is a lot of technical due diligence for identifying the potential projects, for monitoring, hand-holding successful projects, which is involved at BIRAC. And we have a very strong in-house team who looks at, who does all these due diligence, who map the regulatory requirements, on-site technical site visits are done, and mentoring is facilitated. And all of this is done in association with a large pool of area-specific experts that we have. Next slide, please. So while we were formulating the schemes wherein we wanted to support entrepreneurship and innovation within the country, there was also felt that just providing the funding would not be enough because all the grantee startups would need a place wherein they can go and rent a place and start working. And that was the reason why the bio incubator program came into existence. So these bio incubators, we have a total of 75 bio incubators within the country which IREC has set up. They not only provide incubation space to the grantees, they also have a lot of high-end equipments available, and then a lot of technical marketing and business mentorship is also being done by them through uh, the different hand-holding programs that they do. So a total of more than 7 lakh square feet of space has been created, which through which we have been able to support more than 800 incubators who are incubated within these incubators all across the country. Next slide, please. We have a very strong in-house IP and technology management group. They provide intellectual property support to all our grantees, whether it is an academic institute, startup, entrepreneur, or company. All kind of patent searches, landscape report, technology analysis are done by our in-house IP team. They also have a path program through which IP support is provided for filing and filing any intellectual property within the country or internationally. Next slide, please. There is also an IP and technology management local connect clinic through which different IP related queries are taken up by a team of experts in this area, and you can look into our website for more information on this program. Next slide, please. So, BIAC, in association with the National Biopharma Mission Program, has also supported a lot of technology transfer offices. These help in providing a link between the academia and the industries, and they are doing a lot of skill development, mentoring, and IP awareness within the country. Next slide, please. There are seven technology transfer offices, and they have been allocated different states, and entrepreneurs and startups in different these states can reach up to them, or they reach to the grantees in these areas for specific problems or any other IP support that is needed by the grantee. Next slide, please. Along with funding and incubation, there is a lot of capacity building that we provide for our grantees. There's a lot of grant writing workshops that we are doing. There is entrepreneurship development workshops, regulatory workshops, webinar, roadshows, and a number of hands-on residential trainings are also being done to promote capacity building for the innovators within the country. Next slide, please. And these workshops and webinars can be attended by non-IREX supported grantees as well. So coming to the impact that we've been able to make in the last 10 years, we've supported more than 350 academic institutes, more than 3,700 startup and entrepreneurs have been supported. There are four regional centers within the country which have been set up to promote more capacity building and entrepreneurship development. We've been able to provide a funding support of more than 3,900 crores in the last 10 years. Almost 800 product technologies are in markets, and startups have been able to raise a follow-on funding of more than 4,000 crores after getting a direct grant. Next slide, please. Next slide. So, if you have an important idea, if you have an innovation in your mind, you're most welcome to buy that. And that is all from my side. Thank you very much.
Please, you are not audible. We cannot hear you till now. Dr. Naveen, you are also not audible to us. Alva, are you there?
Yes, I'm here.
I think you should proceed with that.
Am I audible now?
Yes,
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 you're
yes.
audible now.
Okay, I was just saying, I'm really thankful to Dr. Shilpi Gupta, who is the Chief Technical Manager in BIAC, for such a detailed presentation of all the schemes. I think this is the answers to all the participants who are curious about different schemes of BIAC. I think all the queries have been answered beautifully by Dr. Shilpi ma'am. If you have any more queries, please let us know in the chat box, or you can ask directly also. I would like to ask the participants, do you want to know anything? Like, you can ask now itself.
Namaskar, sir. This is Dr. Moshmi Devnath from Manipal University, Jaipur. I also have an company which was incorporated in 2020 September. So I just have a question. Am I eligible for the startup grant, that is the early career startup grant? Am I
You can
audible?
apply for the BIG program. Yeah, you can apply for the BIG program. That's for startups who have incorporated
Right.
till 10 years of their incorporation. So you can apply for the BIG program. And I mean, if you have a technology which has
Okay.
already developed a proof of concept, then
Yeah,
you
ma'am.
can apply in the SBIRI program as well.
SB?
SBI,
SBI.
SBI, SBI. I'm
Ma'am,
writing it
SBIRI.
down.
we have already submitted. Yeah, yeah. SBRI. Okay, ma'am. Ma'am, I'm applying to BIG. The last date is 15 probably. So I've already applied for the patent. I already have three more patents also. All of them have been published. So the one which I want to go is a fermented beverage, and we have the patent published also. So it's on kombucha, and I would like to know that is it on any equity or is it a grant? grant or it has to be reimbursed? The 50
The
lakh which is
BIG
given
grant
is to
is,
be reimbursed,
see
or
the
we need to give some
Yeah, I got your question. See, the BIG grant which is there, that does not have any equity. It's a grant in aid which is given for promoting, for taking forward your technology, and but it's a competitive grant, so you have to apply for the program, and it's for the stage where you still have to develop the proof of concept for your technology. If the proof of concept has already been developed, then I would suggest you go in for the SBIRI scheme, because BIG is more for the initial stage where the technology is still to be developed. You can go through the website, and you can go through the guidelines which are there, and it will give you more information about which specific scheme would be suitable for you.
Okay.
If you need any kind of any
Ma'am,
further
in our
help, you can.
university we have the AIC, Adult Incubation Center. Can I continue? Just one last question, sir.
Yes, yes, please.
Can I ask? Yeah, ma'am,
Yes,
I
please
need
ask.
to and go through AIC, or I need to have any other incubators under whom I have to apply?
The choice of
Ma'am, should I
incubator
apply
totally
through
depends on the
incubators? You
grantee.
mentioned about IIT Madras. Okay, okay. We have to take a
Yeah, so
incubator, right,
choice of
ma'am?
incubator. Yes, yes.
That's
For
mandatory.
BIG, it has to be through the incubator only. It's mandate. For other schemes, you if you have your own in-house
Thank you so
R&D,
much.
or if you are incubated in an incubator, either will work. But for BIG, associating with an incubator is mandatory.
Thank you so much,
All
ma'am.
right.
Thank you.
In case you need any help for applying the BIG, you can contact us also. We will provide you for the drafting, for the POC facilitation we used to provide. So you're welcome to contact us also.
And I've written the mail IDs in the chat box.
Oh,
Further
that would
queries,
be
you can write
awesome,
us.
sir.
You can write
Yeah,
back
yeah.
to
That
us.
would be
By just
really helpful.
writing the
I
email
would
ID
like
to
to
us, you
contact
can
you.
get in touch. We can help you in preparing the POC and go through the process.
I've written that in the chat box. Hopefully, you can connect with us.
Yeah, yeah, that would be great.
All right.
Yes, sir.
And
I've
just
already
yeah,
copied it. Thank you so
fine.
much, sir. I'm Dr. Moshni Devnath.
All right. And also, we are honored by the presence of speakers from academia and industry today, and we invite others also who are participating through YouTube and the GoTo platform to join us for future fruitful discussions. Additionally, I would also like all the attendees who are participating today in this webinar to mail us their feedback on the webinar and any suggestions on any other specific subjects they would like us to cover in our upcoming series of webinars. That's all. Thank you. Over to you, Alva.
Thank you, Dr. Sujit. Thank you, ma'am, for briefing us with the role of BIRAC in and the relentless efforts for supporting the startups from various disciplines, right from the ideation to POC up to commercialization stage. Now we'll move forward to the first speaker of the session. We have with us Dr. V. Sisikaran. Dr. Sasikaran has completed his MBBS in the year 1975 from Stanley Medical College, Madras University, and Oncology in the year 1983 from Gandhi Medical College from Osmania University. Sir is currently the chairman of the Review Committee for Genetic Manipulation, Government of India. He is also the president of Nutrition Society of India and vice president of Microbiota and Probiotic Science Foundation of India and Probiotic Association of India, and also a former director of National Institute of Nutrition, Indian Council of Medical Research, Hyderabad. Dr. Sasikaran has also been endowed with several awards, honors, and recognitions from several scientific bodies, such as Professor C.R.R.M. Reddy Memorial Oration Award, Andhra Pradesh Academy of Science, and also from Yella Pragada Subbarao Memorial Lecture, School of Medical Association of Pathologists and Microbiologists, Nutrition Society of India, Gut Microbiota, and Probiotic Science Foundation. So we are eager to hear from you on evaluating the safety and efficiency efficacy of by active ingredients in food. Over to you, sir.
Thank you. And I thank Nehu and Dr. Alva for the kind introduction and for facilitation. And see, since this particular program is regarding the study of fermentation, which involves prebiotic, probiotics, postbiotics, and other biologically active and nutritionally active substances. And since there are a lot of talk on entrepreneurship and product development just a moment ago, whenever anyone develops a particular product, either based on traditional knowledge, as was mentioned just now by one of the audience about kombucha, and ultimately what we need to demonstrate for regulatory purposes and also for the user is two things. One is how useful is this and what is it that active substance in the product which gives the consumer a benefit. And number two is how safe is it. Once we have established these two, then the product is ready for marketing and other regulatory approval. So this is a generic presentation which talks about how do you evaluate the safety and efficacy of bioactive ingredients in food, which could be anything, including prebiotics or probiotics and so on. Please, can I have the next slide? Now, there are several definitions when it comes to food-based product. Is one is sometimes there's some are called as functional foods, and some are called as nutraceuticals, and some may be called as dietary supplement. There's always a little bit of a confusion in our minds as to where our product will fit into. Next, please. So the Food Safety and Standards Authority of India, who is actually the regulatory authority for any of all the food-based products, defines a health supplement that is a category of food which consists of a concentrated source of nutrients, could be anything, and other ingredients of physiological benefit, maybe singly or in combination, whose sole purpose is to act as a supplement to our normal diets. Next, please. Now, an ingredient means could be a plant or a botanical, an extract or prebiotic, probiotics, molecules, isolates, peptides, and it could be any, and they are all given in the various schedules of the food regulation. And of course, nutraceutical is a category which is an isolated form of a particular nutrient or a bioactive molecule, which is almost like a drug, but is not intended for a disease. Next, please. So then what is a biologically active molecule? A biologically active molecule could come from any source. It could be from a plant, an animal, a fungus, a marine product, and so on. And they could have a range of activity. Some may be anti-proliferative and many may claim that it is anti-cancer, could be antioxidants, could be anti-inflammatory, cholesterol lowering, and so on. These are all the biological activity of the molecule which we need to define. Next, please. Now, very simple view is, if I were to ask you to eat a carrot, that means you're eating a vegetable. But suppose I were to ask somebody to have carrot juice because you need to improve your vision, then the same carrot becomes a functional food. If I were to extract beta carotene, which is a provitamin A, then that is a biological active molecule which is coming from the carrot. And if I give purified beta carotene as a supplement to you, then it is either a food supplement or a nutraceutical. So you see how a vegetable sort of transforms into a nutraceutical. Next, please. Now, these are the various things which you already know of. You see the functional, biological, active molecules on the left, the source, and what the health benefit. For example, you take the second one from top, it is lutein, and you have the sources from green vegetables, and it is help known to reduce macular degeneration, which is an age-associated degeneration of the retina, which reduces the vision. You take lycopene, the source is coming from tomatoes, and it is known to reduce the risk of prostate cancer. Like this, the entire nature in various food articles, we have a whole lot of biologically active molecules which we can use as developing products for health benefits. Next, please. Again, another so example, omega 3 from fish, and the health benefits are, of course, many. You have catechins from tea and flavonoids and anthocyanins from fruits, many having antioxidant activity. Next, please. So there are also a lot of functional components like fructooligosaccharides in onions, which are basically prebiotics, and you also have isoflavones in coming from soya, which is used for the management of menopause these problems and cardiovascular disease, and so on. Next, please. Ideally, we would say that one should consume the food as a whole, but then since the whole topic is relating to entrepreneurship and product development and involvement of BIRAC like organization, the basic knowledge about how do we go about achieving a product on the shelf in the market, and how do I label the product, and what do I claim, and how do I face the regulation. So for that, these are the basic principles. You also have a whole lot of bioactive molecules in our Indian spices. A whole wealth of nutrients, a wealth of products are still hiding in our Indian spices we can exploit. Next, please. Now, when you develop a product, you have to first of all know what's the source from which it is coming. You must know the historical characterization. You must know historically whether how the food was used. For example, Northeast, there are hundreds of such products which people do not know in the rest of the world. So you therefore generate the history behind it and the history of safe use. If people have been using it for centuries, then you don't have to prove its safety afterwards unless you isolate one component of that. Next, please. Then you have to do an entire physicochemical characterization. This is exactly how a drug is developed. You need to know the molecular structure, you must know the pharmacokinetics, its absorption, dissemination, excretion, entire information about the whole molecule. Next, please. Now, these are the bioavailability. For example, you take curcumin coming from turmeric, and the curcumin has got a very low bioavailability. But people have now used something like piperin coming from pepper, which enhances the bio. So you have to measure how bioavailable it is, how it gets absorbed, its half-life, the excretion, and does it accumulate in any tissue. Because we also have to think of some potential harmful effects if you give too much of a particular biological active molecule. Next, please. Now, then you have to look at the biological activity. So, if you say it is an antioxidant, you should have measures of estimating the antioxidant levels. And you also must know at to what level does the effect appear and at what level does it cause harm. So, that range has to be worked out. Next, please. Now you have therefore different levels, what is called as a low adverse effect level. If you keep on giving more and more of a substance, at some stage, something will go wrong. This generally we do it in animal studies. That is called as the low observable adverse effect level. Now, based on that, you go one step lower and come to what is called as a no effect level, and go a little more lower and call what is called the tolerable upper limit. So you have to fix this limit. You must know what is the minimum needed to give you the effect, biological effect, and what is the maximum you can take beyond which you cannot go. So this range has to be worked out, and also particularly in a vulnerable population like pregnant women, children, lactating women, you have to specifically address all this. Next, please. And of course, we can get a lot of information now on bioinformatics. So you put the molecular structure on a software and it tells you what is the possible positive effects, what are the nearest molecules which it resembles, which you can relate to the negative effects. So you don't have to do a whole lot of experiments. You can just do it by a software survey. Next, please. Then most important is you need to have biomarkers. Suppose you give a substance and say it works well, how do I measure that effect? So therefore it could be either merely measuring the level of it. Suppose I give 10 milligrams of something and I find that the plasma level of the particular substance goes up. That is one way of saying that this is bioavailable or going inside. Or I have what is called effect biomarkers. For example, a molecule which lowers cholesterol, you simply have to give it to an animal or to a human and measure the plasma cholesterol level and show it's coming down compared to a control. So that is what is called as a effect marker. Sometimes what happens, you may have a disease risk reduction. You will then say that if you take this particular substance, overall your inflammatory load comes down, your gastrointestinal health improves. Then you have to have a clinical endpoint. Next, please. So this, of course, shows the range, dose response range. On to the extreme left, if you, in the case of a nutrient, essential nutrient, if you don't take, you develop deficiency. On the extreme right, you have got toxicity, and in between, you have the acceptable range. For every molecule, we have to work out this. Next, please. So when you want to calculate what's the maximum one can take, you should remember that the same molecule not only comes from your product, it also comes from natural food. For example, if I give a beta carotene supplement, and if the person consuming the supplement is also eating carrots, is also eating green leafy vegetables, he or she gets the same from all sources. So when you're calculating the upper limit, you must calculate what how much an individual at maximum consumption can take this and set that as your limit. Next, please. Then you have to do what is called a risk assessment. So, where every food, every nutrient will have a risk. So, there's an old traditional local language saying which says that even Amrit at some point can become a wish. That means even the nectar will become a poison beyond a particular level. So, therefore, every substance will not be 100% safe. At some level, it will cause a problem. So, identify at what level. And second, you also have to do a risk benefit analysis. If, for example, the benefits are so much, for example, a cancer treatment. In a cancer treatment, there are a whole lot of side effects, but we still give the drug because it will ultimately cure the cancer. So, despite the negative effects, sometimes the benefit is so much that you take the risk. But in a population, the risk has to be very minimal and should be identifiable and should be measurable. Next, please. And this, of course, shows how you calculate the safe upper limit. I won't go into this detailed calculation. The slides can be shared with anybody, so you can actually look at the calculation. I won't waste your time on this presentation. Next, please. Essentially, you have to know what is the adverse effect level. And the adverse effect sometimes can be a serious thing like an organ damage, or could be a mild biochemical change. So, depending on that, we work out what is the safe upper limit. Next, please. And this could be either based on animal studies or on human studies. So when you market a product and you claim that it has got a biological active substance, let us say a probiotic or a prebiotic, what you should make sure is number one, you have that active molecule in your product. Number two, it is present in sufficient quantity that it will give you an effect. For example, you can't say my product has a lactobacillus and just have 10 to the power of 3 CFUs, and that is of no use. So you must have it at the adequate level, and there should be evidence that I can measure it, and there should be ways by which I can see the biological effect, and only then a regulator will give you approval to make those kind of claims. Next, please. So then, of course, human studies, you have to do human studies if you are making a claim on your product. There are two types of claim. One is ingredient. You can say my product contains lactobacillus SCI in an adequate amount and known to give immunity benefit. Or you can say my product, which by name saying that my product gives this benefit. If you say my product gives this benefit, then you must do clinical studies. So the clinical studies could be done in various ways and with placebo control or different dose levels and on target population and demonstrate that your product actually gives a clinical benefit using appropriate good clinical practices. Next, please. And of course, there are a lot of scientific contradictions where in the in vitro and in vivo we have shown it is safe, but in large population epidemiological studies we have shown it is unsafe, and therefore we should be always cautious. Next, please. So I will conclude saying that Your scientific knowledge can translate into a product. Once it can be translated into a product, ensure its safety, ensure its quality by various methods. Evaluate its usefulness doing certain limited studies so that you can make a content claim. And over a period of time, you find that your product has a uniqueness which you have patented and demonstrated by a clinical trial to show to make that product claim, exclusive product claim. Next, please. I think that's my last slide. Yeah, I think we'll skip all these slides, but this is for applying for a FDA GRAS application. GRAS is generally regarded as safe. Once you get a GRAS status under the US FDA for your particular molecule or a particular product, then it can be used anywhere in the world, and they have a template, and I won't go into the template. So thank you very much, and I think I'll stop with this, and I hope this small presentation will be useful for any product developer to make something scientifically valid, at the same time useful for the people, safe with ensured safety. Thank you.
Would like to ask any participants for any questions you have?
Good morning, sir. Myself, Dr. Kalpana from Hyderabad. So I'm developing one supplement. So if I want to meet you regarding the safety studies, you gave me the template finally. So if I want to know more details about the template and safety studies, I want to meet you personally, sir. Can I have your mail ID?
Yeah. My mail ID, I can. I think the organizers can share it. They have my mail ID. I can give it to you also. Actually, you can email me. Then, if you are preparing a supplement using already existing food products or food ingredients which people have been using it for traditional use, then there is no need for you to do any of the safety studies, etc. Only when you make a claim on your supplement saying that my supplement, let us say, improves the growth of a child, for example, then you have to either base it on the existing literature, which is published papers, or you have to do a study. So, what depending on your requirement, please do let me know. I will definitely help you.
Sure, sir. Thank you so much.
Namaskar, sir. And your presentation was very good, sir. Very helpful. So, in our products, sir, we have made again another one which is olive leaf pine, and that we have done the pharmacokinetics also, and it is anti-cancerous and anti-diabetic in nature. So, we have done all the cell line studies on the anti-cancer. It's because you've taken a leaf, so we have done the leaf extract and we have done the characterization. And sir, for the anti-diabetic, we have done the animal studies, but we did not do yet any studies on human beings. My collaborator is from Central University of Agartala, so working with Devashish Maiti sir. And do you think that we need to do both the studies on the human beings also, and then how should we proceed, sir? I'd like to talk to you in this regard.
It depends. If, for example, you have developed this particular product, but you would like to transfer this technology to an industry for further development, then the industry will take care of the subsequent things to carry forward. Okay. But if you want to yourself be an entrepreneur and develop a particular product, then you will have to do the clinical studies. Okay.
Yeah, so I'm also an entrepreneur. Also, I'm working at Manipal.
Sure.
I'm also an entrepreneur, but this product is already in the commercialization stage. Yeah.
Yeah. If you make a
We are
claim,
working with Rasan Olive Cultivation Limited in this particular thing,
okay.
and the government is taking it up for the excise duty and commercialization too.
Excellent. Okay.
All right.
I'd like to contact you on email also, sir, for it.
All right. You can mail us your queries, ma'am. Any other queries for any other questions? If not, then I have one for sir, Dr. Sasigaran sir. So there is an issue like a greater challenge for identifying biomarkers for exposure for bioactive components compared with the essential nutrients. Is that the bioactivity of a food may not be attributable to a single constituent. So, if multiple constituents constitute the bioactive effector and multiple tissues respond, then monitoring the causal link between a bioactive source and health is indeed a challenge. So, like your thoughts on this, sir? Like
Yeah,
how we can
actually,
monitor this
have
exposure?
a you have a product with multiple bioactive molecules. Choose the one which is express maximum, the lead molecule among them. There will be others which will be promoting effect, but there will be a lead molecule, a marker molecule. You test that for all these substances. The remaining molecules, you can just do animal studies and generate some basic data. And then, if you are marketing the whole food, then you do a clinical study on the whole food. But if you are going to market by virtue of the biomolecule, then do a clinical study on the isolated biomolecule.
Fine. Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Sujit sir, can I help you in this regard? I can tell
Sure,
you
sure, sure.
about our case. We found out polydopin and hydroxytyrosol are the two components which are present in the leaf. So we have done all these work with the standard oleuropein hydroxytyrosol as well as with the different types of extracts, with the cell lines as well as with the mice. So you can also do the
Okay.
same thing
Fine.
for
All
your
right.
herbal
Thank you.
product too.
Okay.
And we are doing with pomegranate, we are doing.
You're doing it pomegranate. Okay, fine, fine, fine. All right.
Yeah,
Thank you.
so that is very rich in proanthocyanidins,
Sure.
pomegranate.
Yeah. I hope it was helpful.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah.
One more question, sir, we have like from Dr. Mala. She's saying, does the mixing of different synthetic bioactive compounds have impact on toxicity and interdisciplinary metabolism in humans in long run?
Yes. When you mix two bioactive molecules which are naturally not coming from the same source, then you have to do the pharmacokinetics, toxicokinetics of the molecules in combination, because there will always be interaction between one molecule and the other. Yes, especially synthetic bioactive molecules, we need to be more careful than a combination of molecules coming from a single natural source.
Right. And one last question we'll take up from Sarika Gupta. She's saying, can we use non-toxic synthetic molecules as nutraceutical if efficacy and safety is well established?
Yes, yes. Any kind of a molecule, once its efficacy and safety and its pharmaco and toxicokinetics are established, you can use synthetic molecule, not necessarily natural. There are many molecules which can be of a synthetic origin, and there is no prohibition against that. Only thing, you don't have to, you can't say it's equated with a natural source.
All right. Thank you. Over to you, Alma.
Thank you so much, sir, for that very informative information session that we've had. I hope all the participants have really gained a lot of knowledge. And yes, if you have any further questions or queries, then you can always put in the chat box or you can always mail Dr. Sasikan, sir. So we shall move ahead with the next speaker. We are very glad to have along with us Dr. Navneet Singh Diora. Dr. Diora is a food engineer with PhD from Agriculture and Food Engineering Department at Indian Institute of Technology, IIT Kharagpur, India. Earlier, he had completed his master's in food technology from CSIR CFTRI, Mysore. He also had the experience to work with the pioneers of the industry like RPSG Gyorka Group as an extrusion expert and also in Jubilant Foodworks and Nestle R&D as cereal specialist. His research is focused on open innovation in food industry, sustainability, plant-based proteins, equipment design, and advancement in cereal science. He had also authored multiple research papers, books, and patents. Dr. Diora is also the Chief Technical Officer of Blue Tribe, which is a very well known plant based meat company. Sir, it's a pleasure to have you here with us, and we are very much eager to hear about the industry perspective on innovation in fermented food. Over to you, sir.
I just checked my audio. Am I audible? Everyone?
Yes, yes, you're very much audible, sir.
Yes, clearly audible, Dr. Namit. First of all, thank you for this invitation, and I happened to watch Dr. Sashikan's presentation. It was great, in fact, great insights. We also work with multiple ingredients in which we want to put up claims, at least in terms of the area of plant-based meat. So at least in cost perspective, this information was good. Dr. B.K. Mishra ji, Dr. Sujit Das, and all other from Tula, in fact, Mr. Suman, I would like to wholeheartedly thank them for this invitation. And why? So my normal interest area lies in the area of open innovation, where we see where the future of food is moving around. So, and the topic given to me is more pertaining to the fermentation. So, uh, I'll just give my perspective into how fermentation domain will be the next disruption in the food industry. And let's say we are sitting in the year 2023. So, what will happen, let's say 15, 20 years down the line, as per the past technological trends? So this is something which I wanted to bring attention to whoever is present and listening over here, some insights into what global minds speak around it. Just let me know whenever you are able to listen to view my presentation. Are you able to see the presentation? Just give me yes or no. That's it.
Yes, sir. Yes.
Yes, clear, absolutely clear. So don't mind the disruption and precision from fermentation. That was the idea behind the presentation. It's just a movie article just to bring the attention, nothing particular to the presentation. But would like to start with why disruption and how in past it has happened, and it has kind of taken over to the everyone around it. So if you see this image, this is from Tony Seba presentation kind of 1900, where you could see multiple uh, means of transportation, and chief among them was the horse. And if we just move kind of 13 years down the line, you will see the advent of the automobiles. So in this span of entire 13 years, the entire landscape of automobile industry changed. So this is the form in which any technology disrupts the entire ecosystem, and which is of course for the benefit of the society as such. So this is just one of the example I want to lay down, and why this example is because the food disruption is still yet to happen. So if I say down the line to you, do you still drink cow milk, buffalo milk, or any other sources of milk from animals? I think 99.9% would say yes, we drink it. But if I let's project my view 10 to 15 years down the line, and I ask you, do you drink cow milk? I would say the picture would be similar to what you see over here. So that is the area in which it's just a proposition in which we want to see, because it does follow the same semantics of distortion picture, which is called as an S-curve. Pictorially, just to present you, and the blue line over here, what you see over here is how the technology advances. This is normally called as S-curve in the disruption cycle. It happens fast, and it follows through an S-curve rather than the linear or flat curve. So any technology evolving, let's say around locomotive in terms of electrical vehicle, in terms of solar, in terms of energy, and in terms of food. So they all are following this curve. And in food specifically, the precision fermentation is the kind of a platform in which we can see big disruption around 10 to 15 years down the line. Just to build up the perspective, if you see the x-axis starting from 1905 to kind of, let's say,
1910, where predominantly we had no automobiles, the only mode of transportation was horses. And post that, we do see a big shift. This is the another slope which we see. That's where the bigger transition happens from the horses to kind of the car or other locomotive things. And that's how the existence of the horses went away and the new technology came up. So it happened, let's say, in a matter of few years, or few decades, if you see specifically. But what we see nowadays is disruption happens. It follows the same curve, but it happens at a faster rate. Just to bring down a particular example of the e-vehicles as such, the initial cost of high-end vehicles was something around $80,000. And due to disruption and evolving technology at a very faster rate, I'm talking about 2014 to 2024, you see right now, this would be the exact era in which I'm talking about. The cost came down from $80,000 to around $20,000. So you see, even for the technological advanced things, the cost radically drops down, and that's how it brings the product to the masses. And in the similar way, the food things will happen. That is something which I'll cover in later part of my presentation. These are basically just to define how the cost reduces. We do multiple kind of computing, and there are different laws under which we do it. And it says the rate at which technology improves over time and on a dollar basis. You can do it in INR basis as well. So just to give one more example, not directly related to the food as such, but insulin, if you see earlier 1970s, for 1 pound of insulin, we have to kill something around 23,000 animals, kind of, right? And in perspective of pancreas glands, this was the number pancreas glands which we used to kind of extract out to only concentrate 1 pound of insulin. So you can see specifically how the process is still ineffective. It uses a lot of land, a lot of water. But what happened with the advent of new technologies, let's say from 1970 to kind of 1992, animal insulin was phased out because somebody developed human insulin. And that was from the perspective of precision fermentation, not directly with the food, but directly with the other parts of the medical industry. And thereafter, post 1998, we had a huge development of analog human insulin. So all these technological shift kind of eliminated the animal insulin from the perspective of evolution. In a similar way, we can still see the evolution of the animal agriculture kind of being disrupted and taken over by precision fermentation. So that is the perspective in which we see the future around 10 to 15 years down the line. Just to give you another perspective, if you draw a Murray's law in terms of the defining the cost per human genome, you can see the per dollar in terms of log scale, how much it was, and how much it dropped right now. So even if you see, even if the technology is very costly, with time it goes down, and then now it covers everyone globally around them. Why this curve is because if you see the evolution of automobile industry, it took decades from transition from cars to automobiles. But nowadays the technology is moving so fast. It takes matter of 5 years or 10 years just to adapt to new technology, and the other technologies become redundant. And with reference to the food, it will be a big thing, and I personally feel it will come down. The problem with disruption is most of the experts or smart people around the industry, given a projection of disruption, they normally don't come with a real figure. Say, for example, one of the example cited of McKinsey, it's one of the kind of the bigger company, right? And A&T hired them to kind of focus whenever the cell phone comes into adoption, how much would be the kind of off tech, and they were really less by the margin of 120x. Right, that's how the disruption brings in. Even to predict disruption by an expert is a very difficult task. Just to give you a very recent example, this would be kind of the last slide, which I will talk about disruption and other industries. Because with food, I can't bring you this slide because it will take another 10 to 15 years to give you the same data with reference to food. This is with the example of Norway as a country, and this is the actual registration of light duty plug-in electrical vehicles. If you see the graph right from 2012 to 2020, this is whatever an exponential curve. So that defines how people adopt to new technologies. And this is how normally things happen, at least in terms of all evolution of any of the countries or civilization. So many things happen which is presented over here by dotted lines in terms of all the technological environment. And basis that we move into one trajectory, let's say the uh, dairy industry as such. The cows and everything basically became a household name, and then we started to develop dairy farms. And there was a convergence because there was a supply chain system, there was a food industry, there was equipment players, there were suppliers, there were packaging industries, and that's how the entire ecosystem of the milk developed, and that's how we drink everyday milk, right from a specific process. So that is called as convergence. But what happens when ruptures happen? By means of rupture, let's say the animal is something around, milk is nothing but something around more of the water and around 3% of the protein and other macromolecules. If somebody can develop protein out of the precision fermentation and then remake it and then supply it to all the consumers, so then those point will be the breakthrough point. And in that way, we have a system in which you won't need cows for drinking milk, you won't need cows for milk for other egg products and ice creams and other products. So that I would say is the breakthrough in terms of the technology. And if the technology is too disastrous, it leads to collapse. Maybe the evolution of nuclear war, kind of, and that's how we any patient can bring to kind of disruption. One in a positive side where kind of people shift to something better, or one to a negative side where there is a complete collapse, and once again the cycle of evolution starts. So this is the common platform through which we see new technology kind of propagating as we move forward. And this is something what I presented initially, the transition from animal insulin to human to kind of an analog human insulin, which follows this curve. And then there was a breakthrough event, and then that's how the people kind of worked around to use this and be part of the daily life. So this is just to bring you an attention to what globally fermentation is doing, at least in terms of disruption. And what we see, at least sitting over here, traveling worldwide, talking to everyone in terms of policymakers, in terms of the new age food industries, the startups, the policies around climate change, the UN sustainability goals. This is something which we see will be a possible reality in which the dairy farms will be replaced by this kind of fermentation tanks. So you will not have to source your milk or to drink your milk. The milk won't come from cows. The reason I would say later on, but it won't come from the cow or other dairy or farm animals, but it will definitely come from this form of technology, which is more pertaining to the precision fermentation. So this is something which we kind of expect. And as a company, I represent a company by the name Blue Dried Foods. It's one of the first company in India to launch products in the space of plant-based meat. But something in the area of fermentation also we are working upon, and and the area is something where kind of we are working on the area in which how new things will come or evolve around 10 years down the line. So why we say we're not against milk as such from the cows and other things, but if you see the landscape of area which is occupied by, let's say, entire animal agriculture, and the food which or feed which is grown on the land to feed the animals as such. So if you combine both of these in terms of billion hectares, it's around 3.3. So if I say if disruption happens, let's say we don't want to use this land and we produce of fermentation farms instead of the actual farms, then we can free this land by somewhere around 80%. That means if you compare it in terms of relative area of different countries, it would be a combined area of US, China, and Australia. So just by this specific disruption activity, we can uh, have more land as such, and in that we can basically, and this is only pertaining to the animal agriculture, not for the food which we grow on land to eat, but it's pertaining only to the animal agriculture. If we can kind of do substantial reduction through disruption, we can have more land with the rising population that can grow more food for the population in. And in that way, basically, we can transform something for the better world. So this is the era which few people seek as the great land liberation. So just to bring you perspective, if in terms of billion hectares somebody is unable to grasp, US entire area is around less than 1 billion hectares. Same goes for China and Australia. Australia is still less. So these three countries, in terms of relative area, we can see just by perspective of disruption, and that too only through the area of precision fermentation. So this is something which I would like everyone to dive into. Why animal agriculture is kind of needs a tragic shift, not because of the animals as such, but because we will have very less of land area, and the efficiency of animal agriculture is still very less. Normally, people eat animals primarily for source of protein, strength, and other stuff. But even to get that protein, we need to use so much more amount of water, so much more amount of land. So it just doesn't become viable as such. Once we increase our population, once the population is rising as such, we need to have an area in which there is more ecological balance as such. You want to see pictorially how it looks like in the terms of the graph. The green one marks uh, the land area where all the livestock feed and graze. The black 630 million acres of the area defines where the actual cattle feed and grazing happens. And the purple one shows if we replace everything, how much area would be required to kind of have a modern food to replace the other livestock. And the red one is somewhere modern foods required to replace only the cattle. So we kind of, if we merge everything, we'll have more land for our population to grow. That is in line with your sustainability goal as well, with reference to climate change as well. I don't want to speak around it because the topic is pertaining to the fermentation, but that's the global outlook in which the world is evolving, and all the policies, all the global investment is kind of uh, flowing to move with this vision. And why we say disruption in milk can happen in a positive way, because if somebody can make, let's say, the casein and whey to the, and which people are already making and selling right now. I'll give you some projected companies who are doing it. You can go to the website and see it for yourself. But it's something around, if you see that solid protein, which is whatever than casein and whey, if somebody can make it in lab through the precision fermentation at a higher efficiency, lower land, low water, and as pure and similar composition as of casein and whey, then wherever casein and whey are going in food, either in form of milk or other allied products like let's say ice creams, cheese, and other stuff, they can definitely disrupt the animal agriculture. And why I say the casein in a way, they can disrupt the B2B, that is business to business ingredient disruption. And in that way, what will happen is the consumer in the front end don't get a different product. The casein and whey won't be a genetically modified casein and whey. Technically or chemically speaking, they will be the same. And in that way, we have no behavioral change as such from the consumer perspective. We'll be still doing the same thing, but in a more efficient manner and something which is better for the climate as such. Just to cite some examples in terms of how world is how the world view is. This is the article dated 26th of April 2022, a very recent one, in which the remake is opening world's largest facility of cow-free milk. These are the things which is not something which is of future. It is already started, but to shape it, it will need all the policymakers to come together. For example, if you want me to cite is from Canada, we are doing bigger facilities, and it can be cheap as animal protein by 2024. So even in terms of the price, it could be similar to what the animal milk offers. And these are PF means over here is precision fermentation. These are some of the examples where if you travel to US or anybody traveling to maybe to other developed countries, you can find this product on the shelf and being used by most of the people. So in fact, the change has already started to come in, and the cattle or animal agriculture is kind of going through a phase of disruption in which rupture has already happened, and it will outclass it, and it will move to something which is through the route of fermentation. So these topics, anybody covering in the universities around it will be of great help to society as such. So these are some of the snapshot of our companies. So it's being branded by Virat and Anushka, but of course it's primarily into plant-based meat. But we do use some of the ingredient made from the precision fermentation to make our products. This is an example of perfect day. We're also trying to work with these companies. They make the actual whey out of the root of precision fermentation, and it goes into multiple allied products. These are few of the examples. If you travel to US, you can buy this product. I have bought this product, and it tastes exactly the similar in terms of functionality and other aspects. You go to the website of California Performance. They've already introduced this non-animal whey protein to US, Hong Kong, as well as Singapore market. And this news is of Feb 2nd, 2022. So currently the price still is on the higher side, but we see with the advent of the scale up and volume, the price will be similar to what original animal product has. Currently it's around $2 more than the actual product, but that is during the initial times. But in future it will be very much similar once we have large scale production of this kind of ingredients. So this was with reference to the disruption in the milk as such. It is a very big commodity in terms of volumes, but we do see some disruption happening in the livestock meat. So all the global projected data says the livestock meat disruption still has time, somewhere around 20 years down the line, when the scale of the cell-based meat will happen, then the actual disruption happen. But as a company, we are in the space of plant-based meat, which is kind of taking some shares of animal agriculture. One of the example is Burger King has adopted some food product of Impossible Food. So they make a hemp protein through route of precision fermentation. But the percentage of the M protein is very less. So we would say the disruption is happening, but the penetration rate is still low. So any PF product with higher penetration rate will definitely have a higher rate of disruption. The best example could be the milk and allied products made out of milk. But even if you see the kind of an history of precision fermentation and how it moved from one sector to other sector, over here the graph shows the sectorial penetration of precision fermentation from medicine to cosmetics to materials, and now dropping down to food as such, right from 1980s to kind of 2020, 2030. And we see the cost of production per kg of protein is kind of dropping down. And it has, so earlier it was so costly that only medicine was there, which was available in form of precision fermentation as a product. Then cosmetic is something which is just uh, below the medicine, where it became competitive for any normal consumer to buy in. Till that time, the food, if it has to be made with precision, was very costly and it was not affordable. Then it moved to other regular materials, followed by now we are in an era where we have understood precision fermentation to a great depth, and our cost has come to a range in which it can be bought by the normal consumers even me. So that's how the current era, let's say, where we can kind of started somewhere between 2018, kind of where the price was competitive for PF to enter into food, and now it is slowly penetrating, and we see the gradual reduction in price with time, and by 2030 it will be kind of a mainstream product which you and me are consuming on a daily basis. Something like we adopt to technologies in terms of softwares and we remove other softwares through our mind. It's more of a digital disruption. This is an actual food disruption that will happen soon once we have entire ecosystem. I'm not telling specifically about India because most of the regulation comes and dairy industry is very different in India. But on a global perspective, yes, you'll see those products. Just another graph in which kind of some actual figures has been presented and kind of in terms of per kg how costly it was in terms of the human insulin, and thereafter few material or other ingredients came in, and thereafter competitive came with multiple materials for jacket for the leather industry. And if you happen to see during my initial slide, there is a very famous curve which we call it as curve, and all the disruption follow this route. The only change that happens with time in S curve is the slope further becomes more straight in terms of the time that takes for disruption decreases. So if we talk about an era, let's say 100 years back, any disruption will take around decades to kind of normalize and be part of the regular lifestyle. Now it happens in a matter of years, where the any disruption technologies which can happen at a large scale can do it in matter of years. So that's the only change that is happening so far. It happens quickly, but everything follows S curve. And why we say the milk and other allied industries can be a disruptive technologies, because they are also following the same trajectory as of others, which was shown in the medicine as well as cosmetic as well as other material industries involving precision fermentation. So domestication is something which is happening, and this would you would consider till now we are using animals, let's say bigger animals, bigger plants for our daily consumption. That would be replaced by smaller bacteria, that would be replaced by fungi, that will be replaced by algae and protozoa. I myself work with all those companies who are involved into fungi, the bacteria and algae. If you are in India, if you are in Singapore, if you are in US, I see those development, that gradual shift happening. But this is what we see as a second domestication, where we don't actually domesticate animals or bigger animals. We domesticate smaller organisms in the space of bacteria, fungi, and algae. You can call them invisible or unicellular kind of. What the global times need is because it uses less feedstock, it uses less energy, it uses less water, and definitely it uses less land. In terms of proportion, it could be 100 times less than the actual domestication of the actual farm animals. So these are few of the triggering point which fits well into the era of S curve, and why the shift can happen in matter of 10 to 15 years down the line. Some experts do project bankruptcy of an actual industry in the era of 2030 if the ingredients made from the precision fermentation demand goes over the roof as such, and the end consumers who normally buy are inclined to the PF ingredients, then definitely the disruption of dairy industry will happen, and the in terms of market cap, this industry could go into a disruption as such or bankruptcy. India might not follow the same trend, but other countries can. If we happen to speak in 2030, we can give you the exact figure of what's happening around it. So other possibilities in terms of the way we think is, when we factor all the animals and all the plants, most of the food which we eat normally comes from a dozen of plants and only few animals as such. So although we have so many species of plants and other organisms in this world, so the possibility of developing multiple ingredients, not only for the use of food but for other application, are infinite. And the route which you can take to do these things are precision fermentation. So there can be any protein in nature for millions. So in future, just like the apps which we have, if you open the Google Play and type anything, we have thousands of apps. In the similar way, possibilities are quite huge in which we can, anybody dreaming about this protein to be made can be kind of, and if you have a proper infrastructure of precision fermentation in terms of end to end, we can have that protein at a bigger, larger scale at a lesser price and lesser time. So that is the scale in which people are looking at precision fermentation. It's already happening across sectors. I've given multiple examples, and it's not just about protein. It could be any molecule which we intend to do, right? From kind of, these are some trade names: Glatos, Spina, Lily, Trival, where they use different proteins and other forms of molecules for their application. And this is one of the graphs in which you trying to focus on where does precision fermentation sits in the space of the entire fermentation block, where we have some traditional fermentation happening to the actual milk by the root of cheese and yogurt, and we actually ferment the actual biomass and remove all the ingredients made by the product and develop microproteins. And then there is a very specific fermentation, we target one specific molecule and scale it up. So these are the kind of highest degree of, let's say, downstream purification would be required in precision fermentation, as opposed to biomass and traditional, in which normally going from inert ingredient to an active processing ingredients. These are the space in which we are playing around, and the precision definitely will have a major role to play in the era of disruption, just like in automobiles, just like in the energy sector. The third sector in which disruption will happen is in food, and very specifically, the precision fermentation will play an active role. These are a few examples of companies who are doing mostly things. You can go through the website of these companies for you to understand uh, the precision, biomass, and traditional fermentation happening in different space. The milk protein casein and whey from the perfect day over here are from the non-traditional precision fermentation where they make actual whey. They're also making the actual milk fat and the casein molecule. And this impossible food normally is taking hemp protein, which I earlier discussed, and few of the growth factors and collagens and egg white protein we were already working on. So, so fermentation can contribute to any kind of aspect of the plant-based hybrid product as well as cultivated food, depending on where you want to use it. So anybody who would ask for what are the areas in terms of precision fermentation where I want to do research, I would say there are five points where you can do collaborative research. One could be the target identification and selection. Second would be the strain development. Third would be the feedstock optimization. Fourth would be the process design and manufacturing. And fifth will be the formulation and final product. Any of the sector you can pick up and kind of, there are many commercial companies already making products out of it. For example, Perfect Day uses the target identification and selection, and thereafter they do the formulation. The few other companies like Motive Foods, they use target and they only do the strain development. Few companies only do the strain development and process design and manufacturing. And few companies kind of, so there are multiple aspects in which global companies are doing, in which they pick up certain segments of this innovation platform and try to develop the product out of it. And these are kind of space in which multiple brands are there globally. You can go through their website to understand more about it. And this is the last slide in which, maybe the second last, in which we want to say is like the kind of disruption in the milk is likely to happen soon. We see the animal cellular agriculture where you go to the shop and you want to eat some meat products. It's very likely we get the product made out of cellular agriculture, then with reference to the actual meat. And in between we have new proteins and new other complex structure which is happening to have disruption around. This is an era where disruption will happen, and this could be kind of all following the S curves, all following different timelines, but that is how globally people see it as the thing to happen. And this is the end of my slide, in which there are hardly three sectors where the food, energy, and transportation. Among them, there are multiple subsets where the world will move, and by 2040, we'll have more understanding on how things happen. So I think I would end my slide with this. Any queries around it? I would further welcome.
Thank you, Dr. Navneet, for a wonderful presentation. Am I audible to you?
I'm audible, sir. Tell me.
Fine. Uh, Before I come to my questions, I'll just point out few questions from which I have in the chat box. One is from Dr. Prakash Alami from CFTRI Mysore. He is asking you what is the base used for making milk after precision fermentation, and why is it market status and consumer, and what is its market status and consumer acceptance?
See let's say a company in US by the name Perfect Day, which has a headquarter in Bangalore itself, very closer to KPI, with around 70-80 people in the research center. What they do is they come. So these companies normally make whey protein. So whey protein as a B2B ingredient business is very high as such. as such. So if somebody can replace the whey protein actual with the whey protein through precision, so there is no shift in the consumer behavior as such.
Okay.
I would say the consumer acceptability won't be a challenge as long as
Not
it is.
BOT.
Both are.
So uh, so in precision fermentation, we don't call it. We genetically modify the yeast to program and make that molecule. But as such, that molecule once you filter out, that is not genetically modified. It is exactly the similar chemical composition as of the real one. So there is no shift in the consumer pattern as such. The acceptability of fermentation using those ingredients won't be a challenge as such from a market point of view. Which we see it. I myself have evaluated all those products from the precision fermentation route, and I don't find any challenge in using it as part of the consumer side.
You're not audible.
Sujit, I think you're not
One more
audible.
question. Yeah, to add to that, one more question we had, Dr. Anand Prakash. That do you make laboratory meat and what is the procedure used and the time requirement for that?
Laboratory meat currently the challenges for we don't make laboratory meat as of now because as a startup, it is not huge investment. We normally tie up with few companies like Clear Meat and other companies present in India at a global level, and the growth factors is the biggest challenge in terms of the price as such to make the clear meat. So people have in India people are starting to make the animal fat out of the actual meat, but the actual meat and scaffolding and the bigger meat group takes a lot of time as such. So we are not making it in terms of principle right now, but we are thinking around it. And this technology, if you see my from my presentation, it will evolve around 50, 20 years down the line. You will have some possibilities in terms of price reduction, in terms of scale, at which the consumers can directly buy it. That's the
Okay.
era when there is sustainability.
One more question we have from Mr. Wagmare. That is whether any antibiotic marker is acceptable in precision fermentation.
Anti my it's something it's still need to think. I don't have an exact answer for that right now. I don't have so.
Right. Okay. And coming back, I have some questions personally for you. Like
Yes, sir.
in BioLac, we have supported few projects regarding smart proteins or plant cultivated meat.
Correct.
So yeah. So the things, yeah, obviously you're free to collaborate anytime with all the skills that you have. But the thing is, a few things where I found challenging is the commercial viability of the cultivated meat is quite low in India.
Uh,
So that
so
is
one
one
is
thing.
one
I'll
is
just
the
complete.
yeah. Please
Yeah,
summarize.
one. This is one. Another is like the few issues are with this anti-nutrients evaluation and allergenicity of this isolated plant proteins or sensory quality of the proteins when used in meat analogs. Then combinations or single proteins for sustainability for texturizing and using meat as a meat analog. These are the few things we see as a challenge while supporting the projects.
So we're coming down to your answer maybe in three parts. One is the space of the cell-based meat as such. Definitely, we don't have a proper regulation as such in this space. So regulatory wise, of course, and it's still evolving as such. But if you go to happen to be in Singapore, Singapore was one of the first country to kind of
Yeah, they have
commercially.
done it fast. Yeah, correct. And even we are trying our best so that in India also we gave some, for some regulatory approvals we can bring on this particular sector.
Correct. But only one of the bigger challenge is to develop a bigger meat groups out of it. So we have
Yeah,
a
the
form
challenge.
and there's a as such. And the growth factors, even the testing part is still very it's not harmonized as such.
Yeah,
Everyone
they
there.
are.
But the second part of your question is like how do we kind of make a better protein which like which has a bland taste as such. So in that space also if you happen to see a company by the name Microprotein. So they what they do is they the mycelium in the mushroom that ferments rice as well as the pea protein. And in that, they bring the Grishka score to 1 and post filtration, the protein is super clean without any uptake of any kind of plant source. and that can be adopted for the energy multiplication capacity. And apart from that, the texturizing part is more into the zone of the extrusion technology and other technology, which can basically texturize it. So there are certain enzymatic extrusion technology more into the equipment design where you texturize it and make it very similar to the animal body. So there are three different aspects which you need to work just to balance out the product as similar to the animal.
So obviously there is a lot of scope for plant-based meat to cater the needs of the Indian population. But
Uh,
the only thing, not only the vegan population, but the rest also should understand the importance of it. That's why, to mitigate this commercial and viability process.
Yeah, but the strange part is our product. So 90% or 95% of our consumers are non-vegetarians.
That's what they need to understand regarding this. The
And,
carbon footprint and all the environmental challenges associated with that.
and the
So
funny part is the animal agriculture contributes to more greenhouse gases than the entire transportation industry
correct,
combined.
correct, correct, right.
But that is definitely taking place at a global level.
Yes, I
And
think GFI India is also working on that. Global Food Institute,
Good Food Institute
GFI,
is a
Good Food
non-profit
Institute.
organization. Yeah, they work on it. They primarily work to kind of propagate this in this. And India, in India also they propagate.
Already we're trying our best for to in this sector as well for the regulatory challenges associated with that, and we hope we collaborate with Barak sometime soon.
Hundred
Yes,
percent, sir.
what on that? All right. Thank you. That's from my end. If any other have questions, you can ask quickly. We'll take one. If not, we'll
Yes,
move on to the next speaker.
Dr.
Yes, sir. Yes,
Sumit,
sir.
I have one question.
Yes, sir.
I'm very much thankful to Dr. Devra, and in future we want to collaborate with him in certain projects because Dr. Devra, there is a deficit of meat and meat products in northeastern region. Many people are meat eaters in the entire region. So more than 80% of animals, slaughtered animals, food animals are coming from outside of the state. So
Correct,
this
sir.
type of project we can formulate for in our campus, and we wish to collaborate in future. Thank you so much.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. We would love to collaborate with you, sir.
All right. Thank you. Thank you, sir, and thank you, Dr. Shamit. Over to Alba.
Thank you so much, Naveen sir. It was really wonderful having you. And now we shall move to the next speaker, which is we're very grateful to have Dr. Rubina Mandlik, a nutritionist, academician, and researcher with an extensive experience of over 10 years in the nutrition and education spheres. She is also an alumnus of the interdisciplinary schools of health science, Savitribai Phule Pune University, and also she holds a master's and a PhD in health science, maternal health, infant and young child nutrition. Has been young child nutrition has been the focus of her career. She is also presently working as a project manager at the Hirabai Provasji Jehangir Medical Research Institute, Pune. And Dr. Rubina is also a member of the Nutrition Society of India and Indian Dietetic Association. She has several publications in international journals of high repute. We welcome you, ma'am, and we are very glad to have you again with us, the Binus Incubator, once again for another session. And we are very eager to listen or to get a brief portrayal of the current regulatory landscape of fermented food. Over to you, ma'am.
Thank you so much, Arva, and thank you very much, Bairak Nehu. It's always a pleasure to speak at conferences and workshops organized by Bairak, and I do hope I'm able to meet the requirements of all the attendees. And if you have any questions, I will be happy to take them after my session. I'll start off with sharing my screen. Are you able to see my presentation?
Yes, yes, it's clear, ma'am. It's clear.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's clear, Dr.
Yes, I'm trying to get to a full presenter's view. And
Yeah, that is fine. Fine,
okay.
fine. You can
Yeah.
continue there. Yeah. We can't see your
Seems
slide
like
again.
I'm having some difficulty. I know. Yeah. I kind of realized that. So um, give me a few minutes. I'm having some difficulty navigating. Um,
We can
what is
see
the
now.
issue here? Can you? Because I
Yeah,
can't.
yeah, we can see clearly.
And you cannot
Okay.
switch between the slides.
I can now.
Yeah, the screen is
Okay,
shared,
that's what's
so
happening.
in that screen, that slide is remain to be visible.
Okay, fine. All right. So I won't touch anything
Yes.
else now that I seem to have got it. No, it keeps switching off to the main screen. Whatever reason.
Or you can share the slides with us. You can
Are
send
you
the
able to
slides to
see it
us.
now?
Yeah, you can send the slides. You
Okay.
can just email it or WhatsApp it, whatever is comfortable with you.
Yeah.
Can you see
It
it
is.
now?
Yeah, yeah, it is
Yes, we
visible.
can.
It is visible.
So let me see how I can. Yeah.
Okay.
So, like Alva introduced me, I would be speaking on the current regulatory landscape of fermented foods in India, which essentially means that what regulations you would need to follow when you decide to go and manufacture your product. Okay, what I'll do is I'll just send you my presentation so that you can manage this because it seems to be switching and I'm finding it difficult to navigate.
Okay, no issues.
Hmm.
Please mail your PPT. Yeah.
I've sent it now. I hope you're able to see that.
Just send it through mail.
Just I sent it to Suman and Dr. Suman
Yes,
and
yes, yes. I have
Dr.
received.
Virendra Mishra.
Received it. Is it visible?
To me, it is.
Yeah, it is visible completely. Yeah.
Okay. Then can start now.
Okay. Sorry for the technical glitches. Now, I'll just go ahead with my presentation on current regulatory landscape of fermented foods. The types of fermented foods. Could you go to that first slide? Next slide. Yeah. The types of fermented foods that we have available in India, if I would list them, they would be grain-based foods. You have, I'm sure, heard about idli, dosa, medu vada. So we have these as ready foods. Plus, now we even have batters available. Then we have fermented beverages. We have some fermented plant products, very commonly the fermented bamboo shoot products. There are fermented plant beverages that are available like toddy and feni. Then fermented milk products are among the most popular in India, with lassi, curd should be available. Then we have fermented meat and seafoods. There is, of course, vinegar, there are fermented soya products, and there is kombucha that is now available in the Indian markets. So, please go to the next slide, slide three. Yeah. Um, India has a one nation, one food law kind of policy so as to be able to have global benchmark and food standards and practices to ensure that there is consistency in enforcement and to manage food testing with standardized methods and protocols. Slide 4. Um, Next slide, yeah. The regulatory compliances that are needed by food and nutrition startups in India are all managed and enforced by the Food Safety and Standards Authority of India, which is our apex food regulator. And in short, we call it FSSAI. The FSSAI is empowered and functions under the Ministry of Health and Family Welfare, and it has been established for laying down science-based standards for articles of food and to regulate their manufacture, storage, distribution, sale, and import, and to ensure the availability of safe, wholesome food for human consumption. Next slide. So, um, all the regulatory compliances or all the rules that are in place for guiding food manufacture in India are under the Food Act, which the Food Safety and Standards Act of 2006, which is also known as the FSS Act, and the Food Act. This act has been enacted since 23rd August 2006, and it extends to the whole of India. Prior to this act, we had multiple orders and acts related to food production, but now all of them have been consolidated under this one umbrella of the Food Act. And there are a total of 22 regulations to guide food manufacturing processes and safety standards for food products in India. Slide 6. So, for the manufacture and sale of fermented foods in particular, you have the Food Safety and Standards, the Food Product Standards and Food Additives Act. Fermented foods are included under this act, which was released in 2011. This act has been amended several times since then, and you will get the comprehensive document with all the details in the compendium of the act. Next one. Under the fermented foods that are covered under the Food Products Standard and Food Additives Regulation, there are milk products, soya products, fermented fruits and vegetables, meat, poultry, and fish products, vinegar, and a cassava tapioca product that is called gari. Um, Next slide. I'll start off with the standard for fermented soya products. So the soya products that are covered under this act are soya sauce, soya paste or miso paste, tempeh, and soya bean curd, which could be flavored or otherwise. And um, uh, just to give you an overview of how the standards are provided for these products, they give you a description of what the product is or what is expected from the product. Then they give you permitted additives, which includes permitted ingredients as well as other additives like food flavors, preservatives, food colors. Product specifications are given. For soya products in particular, they mention what the total soluble solid should be, what is the maximum acidity, what the total nitrogen content, total moisture, protein, fat, crude fiber content should be, and what the urease index value should be. They also give what is known as the minimum fill, which means if the product is bottled or packed, how much of the container that product is supposed to occupy. And they give labeling requirements. For example, with soya bean curd, a labeling requirement, if it's plain soya bean curd with no dairy ingredients, the label should mention that it's a non-dairy product. Whereas if it has some amount of dairy ingredients in it, the label should mention or declare that it has low dairy ingredients. Next slide. Then there are standards for fermented milk products. Like I mentioned, the very commonly consumed ones are curd, lassi. There is something we call shrikand that we consume in the western parts of India. There are flavored yogurts available. So, a description for each of these products is provided. The composition of the product is provided. With milk products, it becomes very important to that all products are similar in terms of their protein content, their milk fat, and their milk solids, not fat. Since these are fermented products, especially for milk products, a list of permitted starter cultures that can be used for fermentation is mentioned. The maximum permitted limits of non-dairy ingredients, including the flavorings for flavored fermented milks and yogurts, is mentioned. The minimum limit of the fermented milk in the drinks is also mentioned, and additionally, hygiene, labeling, and packaging requirements. Next slide. Um, in fermented vegetables, currently there are standards given only for fermented olives. So the types of olives that is pitted, chopped, with some stuffing, um, what these types are, and what the description of the types are. What are the permitted ingredients in fermented olives? The physiochemical characteristics of the brine that is used for packing, what the drained weight of the olives are supposed to be, and the minimum fill. Next slide. Then you have standards for fermented meat, fish, and poultry. Um, Currently, we have standards for fermented meats where they mention what the permitted ingredients and food additives should be, what the microbiological requirements are, and what storage temperatures are expected. And we have standards for fermented fish sauce, which give us a description of the product, the organoleptic criteria of the sauce, the chemical properties that are expected, and the definition of the defects. Next slide. Standards for brewed vinegar are mentioned, a description, the additives, the microbiological requirement, the composition in terms of acids, total solids, and total ash content. And specifically, that brewed vinegar should not contain sulfuric acid or any other mineral acid, and it should be free from foreign substances and coloring matter, with the exception of caramel. Brewed vinegar, as you know, is a fermented product. There is also synthetic vinegar, which is for which standards are available here. And synthetic vinegar specifically, the label has to declare that it is synthetic and prepared from acetic acid. Next slide. Uh, Finally, there are standards for cassava or tapioca product, which is called gari. Now, this is a finished product that is obtained by the processing of cassava, and the processing consists peeling, washing, grating, and this fermentation, then pressing, fragmentation, etc. And the product is finally presented as a flour with variable granule size. So standards for this product are related to its moisture content, its acidity, the crude fiber, the ash, limits of extraneous matter, and the size of the flour particle depending on its texture. So they have given size of flour particles for textures from extra fine to coarse. So under the food products and food additives regulation, standards for all these products are provided. Apart from this, I would like to take you through the licensing and registration of food businesses because most of you may intend to go for a large scale manufacture of your product. So, Food Safety and Standards Act also gives the regulations for licensing of your business. You need to go to slide 15. Next slide. Thank you. The food safety, the licensing regulation, the principal features is that it has four schedules and it presents a unified licensing procedure. There are common application forms, and the registration of the food businesses is to cover petty food businesses, which means food businesses which have an annual turnover of less than 12 lakhs. Um, this regulation makes a distinction between registration and licensing. There are cutoff limits given for who needs to obtain an FSSAI registration and who needs to obtain a license. And the food sectors which have very high installed capacity are covered under the central license. Apart from this, safety, sanitary, and hygienic condition requirements are also provided. Please go to the next slide. There are four schedules for licensing and registration. Schedule 1 mentions the list of food businesses that fall under the purview of the Central Licensing Authority. Schedule 2 has all the forms that you will require with respect to either application for registration, application for your license, or renewing these. Schedule 3 has the fees, and Schedule 4 contains the general good manufacturing practices, good hygiene practices that all food businesses need to undertake. Next slide. What is the criteria for whether you will obtain a food registration or a license? So, a registration is required for small businesses and startups. Uh, a registration is what you would apply for if your annual turnover was less than 12 lakhs per annum. Um, if your annual turnover is between 12 lakhs and 20 crores, you apply for a state license, an FSSAI state license. And if your annual turnover is greater than 20 crores, you apply for an FSSAI central license. Next slide. So the registration procedure, it involves filling in the application form. You have a fee of 100 rupees, and then you get an application number. The registration authority may either grant or reject your registration, but the process is very quick. And within a period of 30 days, you should be able to get your registration and start your business. Um, for licensing, the fees are vary with what license you're applying for, and the process for licensing takes around 16 days. 60 days, sorry. Please go to slide 20. Now, if your registration or license is not granted, or if the inspection is not ordered, or if a decision is not communicated to you within the stipulated period, the food business manufacturer is allowed to start his business. But the stipulation is you slide 20. 20, slide 20. So, like I was saying, if the registration or the license is not granted, or if there has been no progress made on your application, you are allowed to start manufacturing, but it is incumbent upon you to comply with any improvement that is suggested. And your registration or license is not refused without giving you an opportunity to be heard. The registration authority or the licensing authority issues a registration certificate or a license, and it is expected from the food business operator that he always displays this at a prominent place within his premises. And at any time, at least once a year, either the RA or the LA can carry out a food safety inspection of your establishment. Next slide. This slide gives you the fees that are expected for when you apply for either a registration, a state license, or a central license. Next slide. Um, you can either choose, you can choose for how the period for which you would like your license to be valid from between 1 to 5 years, and renewal of the license has to be made 30 days prior to the expiry, and your license continues to be in force till 30 days. But if you've not applied for renewal, then it is expired. Then your license gets expired, and you need to reapply for a registration or a license following that. Um, Next slide. These are the documents that you will need when you're applying for your registration certificate. And next slide, the document that you need when you're applying for a license. So as you can see, it's obviously a much more greater list of documents. Next slide. Okay. So FOSCOS. FOSCOS is the Food Safety Compliance System as per the Section 31 of FSSI. All FBOs, that is food business operators, are expected to be registered or licensed. Earlier, there was the Food Licensing and Registration System, and that's FLRS, which was an online application launched by FSSAI to facilitate FBOs to apply for their license or registration certificate online and to track the application. POSCOS is an enhanced version of FLRS. It was launched in 2012, and June 1st onwards, FSSAI, the FOSCOS was applicable or was available to Tamil Nadu, Puducherry, Gujarat, Goa, Odisha, Manipur, Delhi, Chandigarh, and Ladakh. And November 2020 onwards, FOSCOS has been operational pan India and has replaced FLRS. Next slide. Food testing. Um, the FSSAI recognizes the importance of testing, and it has several approved laboratories for this purpose. There are three levels of laboratories. You have one, your primary food laboratories. There are around 190 food laboratories and research institutions that have been accredited by the National Accreditation Board for Testing and Calibration Laboratories. And these laboratories are where you are expected to carry out your primary analysis of food samples. Um, there The next level of laboratory is the referral food laboratories, 20 food labs recognized for analyzing appeal samples. And then you have the national reference laboratories, 11 of these, plus two ancillary facilities. These are set up countrywide. They set up standards for routine procedures, they validate testing methods, and they develop new testing methods and ensure proficiency in testing. Um, you can easily find a list of labs, and I would encourage you to very to check the list often, because a lot of the lab validity or the lab accreditation expires and then it's no longer recognized by FSSAI. So at regular periods, please go and check the list of labs available. Next slide. So I've talked to you about which foods are covered under the Food Standards Act that is, which fermented foods are covered. I have spoken to you about what licenses you would need to apply for, and giving you an overview of the procedures you will need to go through to obtain a license for your manufacturing unit. Now, um, based on the list that I discussed, the fermented food list, you would have seen that there are a number of fermented foods that are not covered as yet under the food product standards regulation. For this purpose, there's a regulation that is called the Approval for Non-Specified Foods and Food Ingredients. Now, this regulation is specifically designed for you to be able, like if you are manufacturing a new food that has not been consumed prior, or if you're using a new manufacturing method, or if you are obtaining um, of- um, if you are using a new technique or new enzymes obtained from microorganism, or a new fermented product that you want to get onto market which is not specified under this license, What you would need to do is, under this regulation, you have to apply using the form 1 that is mentioned in the schedule, and you give the necessary documents and the fees to the food authority. Right now, I think per application it's around 50,000. The food authority, that is FSSAI, would scrutinize your application and the information you've provided. That's the application for manufacture of this food or import of the food. The food authority, if required, can ask you for additional supporting documents or data or clarification. Then it may either grant the approval or reject the application on the basis of the safety assessment. When the approval is granted, the FBO is expected to submit to the food authority a certificate of analysis of the product, that is, chemical, physical, microbiological, and nutritional parameters. If your if the food authority rejects your application, you can appeal against the decision. And when you appeal against the decision, they will review your petition and in the meeting of the food authority. You are not allowed to manufacture or import any food that is not specified in these regulations, uh, except with the prior approval of the food authority. The food authority can suspend or revoke any approval that is granted. The food authority can review from time to time the amount of fees that for filing that application. If you, as the food business operator, has reason to believe that there are some safety issues with your food product or it poses any health risks, you are expected to recall the food and intimate the food authority that you are doing so. The food safety officers and designated officers immediately inform food authorities of any complaints received regarding the safety of the said food. And the food business operator, after he is granted the approval, then he applies for a license for the manufacture of his product. Um, these are the references I have used. You go to the FSSAI site and you have regulations for everything from, like just spoke about, the manufacture of the licensing requirements. There are labeling requirements, packaging and display, and with specific reference to fermented foods, all the requirements are mentioned under the Food Product Standards Act. And if there is any manufacturer which is not mentioned under the Food Product Standards, then you can ap- apply to the to FSSAI under the under an application or approval for non-food products and go through the entire process. Thank you. I'm open to questions if you have any.
Yes. Thank you, ma'am. It was a really good presentation, much required in today's day. Like,
Dr. Mashmi Devna.
yeah. Please go ahead.
Yeah, I was very impressed, ma'am, with your lecture. Uh, I had been, I have a 3 years experience in an NABL lab also, and I'd been a chief general manager
Okay.
there. Presently, I'm working as an associate professor at Manipal University, Jaipur, and I have an incubated company into 2020. I've incorporated a company. We made a lot of fermented food products. Like we made olive wine. We from olive wine. I'm sorry, I'm having a throat issue. I'm not well. So we made olive wine, and from that we made olive vinegar, olive leaf wine, and olive leaf vinegar. We made a pomegranate wine and pomegranate vinegar also. We made red wine and white wine too. And presently we are working on kombucha, both from olive and pomegranate. I know NABL and FSSI being in the industry, but my question is, ma'am, you spoke about my company is also DPRT certified. So, ma'am,
Okay.
one issue I just want to know. I'm interested right now in kombucha, and my work has been already patent has been published also. So, ma'am, in that case, we have done
Mm-hmm.
most of the tests from NABL, the final stage test. Apart from that, we've done all in labs.
Okay.
But in kombucha, ma'am, I didn't find a regulatory. experiments that I need to do it from NABL. So in that case, how do we go for?
So kombucha, there are no regulations as yet, which or standards for kombucha manufacture. So you would need to apply through the approval for non-food, non-specified foods. And once your approval, have you already done that?
Right.
Have you filed an application for approval
Pardon, ma'am?
for the non-specified food?
No, ma'am, not now. We have done the metagenomics, we have done the profiling, we have done the toxicity, we have done some of the cell line assays also because we proved it it's anti-cancerous in nature too.
Okay.
And yeah, we have done a lot of studies in this
Planning
relationship, and our material is quite stable. It
okay.
can.
So what I wanted to know is, are you
So I'll be
planning to?
applying to NBA also apparently.
All right. What I want to know from, are you
Yeah, ma'am.
planning
Please,
to
please.
market this
Kombucha doesn't have
as?
any fixed.
You planning to market as a nutraceutical or a health supplement?
Yeah, yeah, ma'am. I'm planning to market it. But I'm planning to market
Okay.
it.
So then you would have to, while you would still need to apply for the approval for non-specified foods, your food would not be categorized under a fermented food, but under the nutraceutical. So there is a separate set of regulations for nutraceuticals, health supplements, prebiotics, and probiotics. And I would encourage you to go through that, because if you're planning to market it as a health supplement or a nutraceutical, that means it has certain physiochemical benefits, then you would have to apply through that regulation, which is also there
Right.
under the FSSAI. Okay, but first and foremost, since there are no
Wonderful,
regulations,
ma'am. Thank
kombucha
you.
is not yet mentioned under any regulations. You would need to file for an application for its approval. Then once FSSAI approves
Okay.
your
So I need
product,
to go via the state, ma'am.
uh, if you go through through the regulations for approval for non-specified foods, you will get the form for application, and you can't you will not be
Okay.
able to apply for an FSSAI
Ma'am,
registration. When you go ahead, it will be FSSAI license, state or central.
okay, ma'am. Okay. Okay. So
Am
we
I
need to
clear?
go for nutraceuticals, a
Yeah,
non-specified food, and health supplement.
yeah. So the order
Ma'am,
in
one
which
more
you would go
question.
is first
Quick
apply.
question. What is the market?
Okay.
Yes,
What is
ma'am.
the
Please,
market?
for licensing, I need to go.
Yeah. You would need to start with the application
Can
for
I just have
non-specified
one
food.
more question?
Once approved,
No, we are very sorry. We have to take other questions as well. Dr. Mosumi, you can write the queries. What you have in your mind, you can write
yeah,
because
as
we
per
have to
the
take up other questions as
Sure,
well.
sure,
You can write your queries to us. We'll
sure, sure.
we'll share the contact of Dr. Rubina. Okay, the email address. Fine.
Yeah, thank you.
All right. Thank you. Because
Thank
we
you,
have to give
thank you.
chance to others as well.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, Dr. Rubina, one more question from one of our speaker from yesterday, Dr. Aklami from CFTRI. Like he's asking, does safety of fermented foods with reference to pathogenic microorganisms is a major concern, and how is the quality of the finished product with reference to the finish over in case of soybeans?
Could you please repeat that?
I'll
Please
repeat.
repeat that.
First question is, does safety of fermented food with reference to pathogenic organisms is a major concern?
Well, yes. Since the product is fermented, there is a lot of chance for pathogenic microorganisms to grow as well. But for the foods that I have already mentioned, FSSAI lays down safety requirements in terms of what microbiological requirement the product should have. That means how much of which microorganisms are permitted, which aren't permitted, and all manufacturers are expected to get the product tested from labs that are recognized under FSSAI. So, while there are major concerns with reference to pathogenic microorganisms, these can very well be tested and determined before you go ahead. And if I'm not mistaken, most of these would require a license. It would be a good idea to even have a food. at least a basic food testing facility on the premises of the food business, the manufacturing organization as well. Was there a second question?
Yeah, another question was 1 second. It was what type of starter cultures are allowed to use for soya curd preparation, and how is the quality of finished product with reference to the beanie flavor?
Uh, well, quality of finished product, I'm not too sure because I haven't tried it myself. But the starters, I think it's lactobacillus and even streptococcus thermophilus is permitted.
Right. And one more question is
Okay.
like, do they have to take both state and central licenses for doing business in fermented foods and beverages?
No, you don't need both the licenses. The license depends on the capacity of your manufacturing unit. Um, if your manufacturing unit has a capacity or has an annual turnover of between 12 lakhs to 20 crores, you need a state license. And if your annual turnover is more than 20 crores, you need a central license. You
Fine.
need either or, not both.
All right. That's all. I think if any other questions, you can. One last question you can pick up for madam. You can ask by unmuting yourself, the participants.
Good afternoon, ma'am. Myself Kalpana. So I have formulated fermented food. I have taken this FSSA license, but I didn't take any trade license. So shall I sell throughout the state because to my friends only? Whatever the
I'm
product,
sorry. You want to sell it?
yeah, I
You
want
have
to
an
sell.
FSSCI license.
FSSA license is there.
Huh?
Is there any trade license is separate?
No.
No need of trade license, ma'am. Okay, directly I can send to another states. I stay in Telangana. If I want
Okay.
to send to another person, right? My friend circles, they stay in Goa and Bangalore. They are asking for my products. Shall
Okay.
I send to them in a courier? Is there any problem?
No.
No problem. Okay. Thank you, ma'am.
All right. I think, ma'am, your presentation has addressed to the current major challenges to a clear regulatory path to market across the product and ingredient approvals, labeling, and particularly novel foods. So I really thank you for today. Over to
Thank you so
Alba.
much, Ajay.
Alba, you're not audible.
Am I audible now?
Yeah, yeah, fine.
Yes, okay. Thank you so much, ma'am. It was indeed a very clear cut session, and I hope most of our participants have got their answers to the questions. And yes, we shall now move on to the next session. That is, we will listen to our CEO, Dr. Suman Kumar Nandi, who will be telling us or navigating us about the role of the in promoting entrepreneurship and innovation in Meghalaya or in Northeast region. Over to you, sir.
Thank you. So I believe my screen is visible to everyone.
Yes, yes,
Yes, sir.
absolutely. Clear.
Once again, thank you, Alva. Honorable Vice Chancellor Professor Prabhashankar Shukla, Northeastern Hill University, Meghalaya. Our respected campus in charge, Northeastern Hill University, Tura campus, Professor Sujata Gudev, Dr. B.K. Mishra, our head of the department, Department of Rural Development and Agricultural Production, and project investigator, Baroness Nehutura campus, all the distinguished speakers, Team BIAC and Team Baroness Nehutura campus, and first and foremost, the participants. Thank you very much for your overwhelming response and your patience patient participation throughout the 2-day webinar on fermentation, interplay of microbes, immunity, and nutrition. So first, we thought that we will give you a brief about Barnest. That is, what is Barnest? But I believe Dr. Shilpi Gupta has made my things very easier. So to give you a very brief of that is that what is Barnest? Barnest is a scheme from BIAC for establishing bioincubators, nurturing entrepreneurship for scaling technologies. The short from the acronym is BIOST. Actually, the journey begins earlier in 2007 with the National Biotechnology Development Strategy, which mandates that 30% of the budget will go to the public-private partnership, the PPP model. And execute that, eventually, BIAC was established. The Biotechnology Industry Research Assistant Council was established in 2012 to explore the to boost the industry academia interface to promote entrepreneurship and innovation in biotechnology sector, mainly with targeted funding, technology transfer, IP management, and handholding schemes. As we know, there is whether an innovator from academia or even an innovator individually were working on that to do any kind of to develop any kind of biotechnological process, product, or service. You need to have a laboratory expert, a laboratory facility to avail. So for that purpose, only the BIAC provided these bioincubators so that the innovations which have been prepared in lab scale only can be transformed easily to the commercialization on industry scale. So that's why the bioincubators nurturing entrepreneurship for scaling technologies. Now, in the whole India, there are 75 bioincubators, and we are fortunate that in the northeastern region of India, there are seven of us. Just to name, there is one in Mizoram with Mizoram University. Four of the bioincubators are located at Assam, among them three in Guwahati, IIT Guwahati, ISST, and NIPA, and one is in Jorhat, CSIN East, and the other bioincubator is in Media. The two of the other bioincubators are in Meghalaya, one in Shillong, IBST and BRDC, and the other one is us, the Northeastern Hill University, Tuga campus. So this is the Enia Barnes family. But before going to that, what we are doing and why we are doing, we need to understand the northeastern region, the bioresources of northeastern region a bit, so that we can understand that is what are the strategies we are opting for boosting the innovation and entrepreneurship in this northeastern region. We will begin with Meghalaya. Meghalaya, as the name suggests, the abode of cloud, is the wettest place in the earth and known for its picturesque views of mountains, waterfalls, canyons, a popular tourist destination, of course, and a growing hub for adventure sports. To be mentioned, Meghalaya is ranked as the fourth best performer in the implementation of Swadesh Darshan scheme. This region has also very favorable agroclimatic conditions. So there are a diverse range of soil types, which supports various agriculture and horticultural crops like crops like rice, maize, pulses, oilseed, cotton, jute, mestra, etc. There are an abundance of local varieties of fruits and spices as well. Indian wild oranges, pineapple, jackfruit, kaju, arecanut, ginger, labrador turmeric, which has 7.5% of curcumin, just to name a few. Meghalaya is also home for many relatively unknown and underutilized and exotic crops and medicinal herbs. Meghalaya at the same time is also has a very strong potential in medicinal plants. So out of the 6,000 medicinal plants available in India, 834 can be found in Meghalaya only. And it is also famous for the Himalayan yew, which provides the chemical precursors to the anti-cancer drug paclitaxel, and also widely used in Ayurveda and Tibetan medicines. Further, the state holds 8 out of the top 20 highly demanded medicinal plants that is traded out of the country regularly. Another prospect of Meghalaya can be the floriculture sector, with a vascular plant diversity of above 3,000 and more than 300 varieties of orchids. There are Meghalaya is also the very leading suppliers of cut flowers to the rest of the India, and the biogas facility at IBSU, that is Institute of Bioresources and Sustainable Development, And BRDC, that is Bioresources Development Center at Shillong, is totally and specially dedicated to this sector, to promote this sector. Apart from that, Meghalaya is also one of the leading bamboo producers and suppliers. 14% of the geographical area of the state is covered by the bamboo plantation. And we know that is where not we can use the bamboo, from food to furniture, from clothing to medicine, to building the roads, to building the to generate the high rises. In all places, we have the use of bamboo. Meghalaya is also has a very good potential in hydroelectric power. It has been projected that it can have 3,000 megawatts, but presently we are only having just mere 13% of that. Apart from that, Meghalaya is also a very strong sector in mining and has abundance of minerals with high prospect of coal and limestone industries as well. So with this, we will also touch about the bioresources available in other Indian states in very short. So mainly in all the Indian states, the things that are common are the tourism, mineral, and agricultural sectors. So Arunachal Pradesh is also the biggest state in northwestern region, has the agriculture and forest-based industries. Prospect for that, especially in the textile and handicrafts, there is a very good prospect for carpet, and this is known internationally. Apart from that, there is the largest potential of hydraulic power throughout the Enya region in Arunachal Pradesh, and there are also a possibility of mineral-based industries. For Assam, we know tea is the most perhaps projected or most prospered crops. It is the largest tree growing area in the world, and it is sorry in India, and it is 1/7 of the world, produces 1/7 of the world production and 50% of India. Apart from that, there is also this for the sericulture, it known for itself, especially the Muga silk, which is provides almost 95% of the world's produce. Whereas Manipur is very much known for the bamboo processing industries. There are 55 species from there, and 25% of the whole the production of the from the India, the 25% holds by Manipur, and 14% of the India is held by Manipur only. Apart from that, there are some GI, there are some prospects in agriculture also. We have the Tamenglong orange and the Shirathong Hathei chili, which are GI tag from Manipur. They also have a very prospective sericulture and handloom industries. In the other states, so whereas Mizoram is again, there is the bamboo sericulture and the agriculture best industries have a quite high prospect. In Nagaland, also the same similar kind of prospect we can see. Apart from that, the specialty of Nagaland is the natural resources. There is a huge amount of crude oil, hydrocarbon, and coal which is located and found in Nagaland. In Sikkim also, perhaps another state where the floriculture and the organic farming is high, and there are multiple pharmaceuticals and medicinal plants industries are also in place in Sikkim. And finally, to Tripura, there is also the agricultural products which are available there, and there are bamboo producing hubs, and it is a natural rubber supplier of the fourth largest producer in India and sixth largest tea producing state. Apart from that, in handicraft and medicinal plants, also they have their prospects. So why we are discussing these things, these bioresources available to the Indian states? Because depending on the bioresources available, the biologists nearby always design their strategy to promote the entrepreneurship and innovation. So as being the Biorex Managed Bioincubator Facility at Negutuba campus, which was set in 2021, we are also being mandated to transform any kind of innovative and tradable ideas into large-scale sustainable businesses. And as per the bioresources available here and the expertise of the facility, we have chosen the agriculture, nutrition, and food processing as our primary focus areas. And at the same time, we are looking forward to work in all sectors of biotechnology. To do that, we have so far has been done more than 13 webinars, 15 skill development programs, and more than 11 incubating meets with perhaps more than 1,600 participants across 27 states and 3 union territories. We also have 5 prototypes developed by us. So, what we used to do with the prospective innovators, we used to provide them a all-around handholding program, which which comprises of 3 things: the infrastructure support, mentorship support, and the funding support. So among the infrastructure, we provide the laboratory facilities. At the same time, the corresponding innovators and startups working with us in Avel, the co-working space and office space of ours. As a laboratory, we have a dedicated biomass lab and food processing units. And apart from that, we also have certain shared facilities. Here, we are able to do any kind of quality control assessment and food safety management regarding dairy, soya, fermented foods, and alcoholic and non-alcoholic beverages. Just to give you a glimpse of the facilities which we have in Barnes, this is Barnes facility, Barnes lab, and food processing and packaging unit. These are the shared facilities that will also be available to all our incubators. There is the animal science lab, horticulture lab, agronomy lab, and the competition facility. Apart from that, to start the business, we also rent our space to the incubators, so they can avail this co-working and office areas to start their business initially. So the next thing we should provide is a mentorship. Actually, the startups and innovators in different fields are in different stages. Some of them need some capacity building programs, some need some sensitization. There is a need to know there is what are the prospective areas in which they can apply. Some needs to be connected with the technological or subject experts for their problem solving, and moreover, they need the promotion. There is the showcasing of their products and process or services so that they can have a big field experience and they can plan their marketing strategies. We also provide legal help such as in IP facilitation, regulatory certification, or technology management, as well as the business development help such as mobilization, network building, branding, and commercialization. We also provide different at different times according to this the whatever the fundings are going on, or whatever the call for proposals are online. According to that, we plan our POC, that is the proof of concept facilitation. That is, if you are having problem in grant writing, we will be there for you to help you. And this kind of programs runs throughout the year. So these are the some glimpses of the capacity building and skill development program. We also run some sensitization program. We have done five sensitization series with Prime Meghalaya, government of Meghalaya. It's 5 consecutive webinars which and we have conducted on medicinal plants, floriculture, uh, floriculture, food processing, and others. We believe we are able to help the peoples around to know and identify the sectors in which they can work on. And apart from that, we also visit the nearest academia and other expo, and we also meet the incubators or the innovators who are working through the different kind of incubating meet and network building events. And lastly, and perhaps the most important one, funding. Okay, we are not able to give you fund. We are not the funding bodies, but we are ready to connect you with the funders. That is, whether there are any kind of pilot fund, DST, MSME, or for the Meghalaya to Prime Meghalaya or banking schemes, we always provide our hand to help the incubators to avail, how to avail those funds, how to apply for those funds, and how they can get through the application procedure. So we are really, really grateful for BIRAC for coming up with a specialized grant for like biotechnology ignition grant for Northeastern region, the big NER grant. The last big NER grant which we have done, we have an enormous response from the all of other peoples in Northeastern region. We have more than 185 applications, and most of them, there is a 88% of applications are from NER region. Only there are 12% of applications which came from outside with an implementation strategy for NER. and almost all of the states have been participating, and we are looking into more to such brands which are really really helpful for us. And we always take any and every opportunities to promote the brands. We just want to know all the, just want to let the people, the all the innovators connecting today with us, that the big 22 call biotechnology ignition grant is ongoing, and it will be finalized by, there is last date for apply is 15th February 2023, 5:30 p.m. sharp. So don't, if you have any kind of idea, please don't wait for that. Don't wait for the last day, just contact us. We will help you through to provide to form the application. So far, with the experience of 1.5 year of what we are working, what we have seen that is the biggest challenges in this area is to really reaching out the appropriate entrepreneurs. They might have a very good idea, but they are a bit not that much free to share with us or come up with their idea. And there is a very big problem with the marketing also. There is need to connect the people with the market and the local, say, any kind of transportation system. So that's why we came up with a smart sensitization program, which we think there is a need to provide a lot more exposure to the innovators and the young minds to change their mindsets. We need to skill them, nurturing them, and we need to recognize their good work. That's why in every webinar or any kind of program we always have a success story session where people can connect with the pioneers or the people who are working in this field for quite some time, and they can share their experience and how they have gone through. At the same time, the networking need is very vivid in this region. We need to have a market connect and innovator, academia, industry, and investor where they can work hand in hand. And the policy implementation is, we have seen that there are very good and wonderful policies which have been formed, but still there are a lot of institutions in northeastern region are yet to implement them. So we are closely collaborating with the administration for that too. At the same time, there are some preparatory informational and infrastructural gaps between the innovators, academia, and enablers also. There is, we have 7 bioincubators, bioincubators in the India region, but there is no EU center for the, especially the undergraduate students. So the supply of the innovators or young minds are a bit on a state. The nearest EU center is located in West Bengal at Adams University. So we're looking forward to have at least 1 or 2 centers around us. We also, the regulatory testing facility and IPX facility available around is not that much promising. And almost in many cases, we have seen that the regulatory testing facilities are not able to do all kind of tests that we require. So we are also looking forward to boost the infrastructure and that base. And there is a problem with the working in isolation. There are different government bodies, different incubators from different funding agencies which are working in cohesion. But the problem is that they are all starting from scratch. The research sharing between the sister institutions and uh, alignment of the policy and goals, which we feel is really necessary so that we can move forward a bit more quickly. So these are the collaborators. So we have formed connections across the academia, funding agencies, different line departments, and even the meta incubators from across the area. This is the present team which we're working with. Our project investigator, Dr. Vicky Misra, Dr. Mr. Arpun Ghosh, our technical officer, Alpha Margaret Kapangara, our program manager, Shan Vasnayo, and Remy Day, were working as laboratory assistant, and myself, Sumanandi. So this is the contact details of us. So if anybody wants to contact us for any kind of grant application or other kind of you want to incubate with us, we will like to request you to take a snapshot of this and just connect with us for any time you want. Thank you. Thanks for your patience here.
Very wonderful presentation, Dr. Nandi, and thank you for showing the scaling above biotech startup ecosystem in Meghalaya Northeast through the efforts the whole team of Bionest Nehutura has been making. So I'd like to request the attendees who are from Northeast or Meghalaya to please connect. I hope this presentation is very much clear. I don't need to add anything to it. So please go and connect to Bionest Nehu for all the support ahead. And please go and pitch your ideas in that for possible funding. All right. Thank you so much. Over to the host, Ms. Alva.
Alva, can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
So I
So thank you
tried
so
to,
much.
yes, I tried to contact our Honorable Vice Chancellor, but it was not possible. So he's out of station, maybe some network problem. So please go ahead as per your schedule and bind up the program.
Okay, sure, sir. No problem. So, thank you so much, Dr. Suman Kumar Nandi. Yes, from the BIRAC Bioincubator facility to run, we are very much open for any of the attendees who would like to reach to us. We would always be there to help you at any cost. And so we have almost come to the end of this 2 day webinar session, but I would like to request Ms. Again, to come up with the concluding remarks. Over to you, Ms. Varsha.
I think Barsha is having some problem in the sharing. You can come here and no, you are not.
In the meantime, I would also like to take this opportunity to thank the head of RDAP, Nehutura campus, Dr. Mishra, Honorable Vice Chancellor, Dr. Shukla, and the Honorable PVC, Dr. Gurudev from Nehu, for coming up with this wonderful initiative. We are hoping more to collaborate on hands-on training, webinars, and possible conferences in the near future as well. Thank you, sir. Thank you for everything.
Hello, am I audible?
Yes, yes, you're audible.
So, coming to the end of the program, I would like to extend a warm thank you to our speaker, Dr. Shilpi Gupta, for delivering an insightful and innovative presentation on the role of BIRED in fostering public-private partnership, innovative product, and technology development. Your expertise and knowledge have greatly enhanced our understanding on the role of BIRED in boosting the innovative future. Thank you. I would like to extend my sincere gratitude to our speaker, Dr. Shashikant Mandela, for delivering an excellent presentation on the evaluation and efficacy of bioactive ingredients in food. It was a remarkable example how carrot itself can play a different role by the way it has been consumed. Your in-depth knowledge and expertise on the subject have greatly enriched our understanding on this important topic. Your insight and passion for this field are truly inspiring, and we're grateful to have you in our webinar. I'd like to express my heartfelt thanks to our speaker, Dr. Navneet Singh Deva, for delivering an engaging and informative presentation on innovative fermentations, and your expertise and passion for this field have greatly enhanced our understanding for the topic and inspired us to think more critically about the potentials of fermented foods. It was a great example how insulin from animal to human came into play and how precision fermentation can change the future remarkably. We are grateful for the opportunity to learn from you. Thank you for sharing your valuable insight. I would like to extend my sincere gratitude to our speaker, Dr. Ravina Mandle,
for providing us with a comprehensive overview of the current regulatory landscape for fermented food. Your expertise and knowledge on the subject have greatly enriched our understanding of this crucial topic and provide us with valuable insights. Your precision, your passion, and dedication to this field are truly inspiring, and we are grateful for the opportunity to learn from you. I would like to express my sincere thanks to our speaker, Dr. Suman Nandi, for delivering a thought-provoking and enlightening presentation on the role of biologists in promoting entrepreneurship and innovation in Meghalaya as well as northeastern nations. Now we understand better how we can approach the biologist facility around us for their guidance and support. Thank you for sharing your valuable insights. I would like to extend my heartfelt gratitude to our organizer, Dr. B.K. Mishra, and the hosting team for your tireless efforts in organizing the recent scientific webinars. Your attention to detail and hard work and dedication to ensuring a successful event was truly outstanding. The event was a huge success and it would have not been better possible without your leadership and exceptional organizing skills. Last but not the least, I would like to take this opportunity to express my gratitude to all the participants for joining us today for the scientific webinar. Your presence and participations have made this event a huge success. It has been an absolute pleasure to share with you the latest research and advancement in the field of fermentation and to engage the thought-provoking discussions and exchange of ideas. Your active engagement and questions have made the experience even more enriching for everyone. I hope you find this presentation informative and insightful, and that you have gained a deeper understanding of the subject matter. Please take the knowledge and information you have gained today and continue to spread the word about the importance of fermentation and the impact it can have in our lives. I'd like to extend my heartfelt thanks to Bayer for their unwavering support and efforts to bring together experts and industry leaders to collaborate and work together towards common goals. I believe that I believe through that our collective efforts and partnership, we can continue to make significant contribution to the advancement of our industry. Once again, thank you for your time and participations. I look towards the next opportunity to bring you more cut-edging research and discussions. Have a great day. Stay safe.
Thank you, Marsha. I'd like to request all the participants to let us know their feedback through mail and in any particular topic they want us to cover in the upcoming webinars or conferences. Please let us know that. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Yes, so we will just like to ask all the participants to just give your feedbacks because if it is whatever you think that is very much necessary for us to know and we can mold the ecosystem accordingly. So it is very much needed your feedback, whether whatever is in your mind, please feel free to give us to the mail. That will be very helpful for us, for every partner in the world.
Thank you so much, everyone. Thank you, Dr. Vicky Mishra sir, for organizing this webinar. Thank you, Dr. Sujit Das and the entire team of BIRAC. Also, our team of B3I facility in Interplay campus, Dr. Suman Kumar Nandi, and our two colleagues, Mr. Shan Gorsayu and Remediate, for relentlessly working for this webinar. And also, thank you to every participant. And I hope if we all can uh, on a camera so that we can take a snapshot.
Request all the participants, can you just switch on the camera for just 1 2 seconds?
So, on behalf of entire Nehu family, thank you, Sujit, you and
Thank
Virat.
you, sir. Thank you.
And in future, we will collaborate in such a way so that some fruitful research and academic fields will be fruitful. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Right, sir. Thank you, sir. Thank you so much.
Here, the only the panelists can switch on the camera and not the participants. So that's why
Okay.
uh,
I think.
it's only us.
All right.
Okay, and also before I forget, I would like to thank the Department of Rural Development and Cultural Production, Ms. Betsheba yesterday, who has hosted the program, and also Varsha Saikia for giving the word of thanks today or the concluding remarks. And so we would like to conclude this two-day webinar, and we're signing off. Thank you once again. Jai Hind.
Thank you, Alva. Thank you for being a wonderful host, you and Betseba, for the 2 days. Thank you, both of you.
Thank
And
you.
also, I'd
Thank you
like
for
to
giving.
thank YouTube participants as well who have been patiently listening to us from yesterday onwards. There are a lot of views,
Yes, exactly.
so I'm really thankful to all the YouTube participants as well. Thank you so much. Thank you, everybody. Yeah.
Thank you. Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Thank you so much. Yeah.
Bye.